Chapter 938. Longao followed Tonglinger all the way to the west. About an hour later, the two of them arrived at a small mountain peak. There was no one around, not even an ant. The small mountain peak was surrounded by flowers and grass. It was like a paradise on earth. "Linger, what is this place?" Longao was not a fool. As soon as he stepped into this place, he could clearly sense that there was something unusual about this place. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was 3 times stronger than other places. What did that mean? "Longao, I believe you have sensed it. This place is called the Aquamoon Heavenly Abode. It is where my father cultivated in seclusion. It is also one of the forbidden areas of the Martial Artists Alliance." "Father?" Before Longao could ask, Ling had already answered. "I forgot to tell you. My father is the chief of the Martial Artists Alliance." As expected, Longao had already guessed that Linger's identity was not simple, but he did not expect her father to be the chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. Of course, he knew what it meant to be the chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. In the Sky Martial Continent, there were 10 great powers, and the 10 great powers were the peak existences. From this, it could be seen that the Alliance Masters or Sect Masters of the 10 superpowers were the 10 most powerful people in the Sky Martial Continent. Whether or not Linger's father was the chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao would treat her as a friend. Looking at the mountain peak in front of him, Longao was very surprised. He knew very well what it meant to be the chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. Why did Linger bring him here? "Linger, you mean to let me cultivate here?" "That's right. Longao, I know I can't stop you from looking for Tingli tomorrow. But let me tell you clearly, even if you enter the Martial Artists Alliance, if you act so recklessly, you might not even be able to see senior sister, let alone take her away." Regarding the meaning of Tonglinger's words, how could Longao not know? However, he had already accepted the challenge. As a martial artist, once he accepted the challenge, regardless of whether it was climbing a mountain of blades or diving into a sea of flames, he had to fight Tingli. Longao clearly knew that he was not as strong as Tingli, but he still decided to go. Because of this, Longao didn't say anything. Longao, the Water Moon Paradise. Back then, my father was in seclusion for 100 years. From there, he reached the peak of the martial path and became one of the strongest people in the Tianwu continent. Hearing Linger's words, he would be lying if he said he wasn't greedy. As for the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance's leader, Longao didn't need to guess. If he wasn't mistaken, Linger's father was definitely a top-notch expert, even though he hadn't reached the pinnacle of martial arts and wasn't as strong as Tian Dao or the Clairvoyant. Seclusion for 100 years. Just think about it, and you know what kind of concept this is. Longao started to feel tempted, because what he lacked the most now was strength. "Longao, to tell you the truth, my father gave me the Water Moon Paradise back then for some reason. Therefore, I'm going to let you enter the Water Moon Paradise to cultivate." Without giving Longao any chance to speak, Linger continued. "One is to fight Tingli, and the other is to see senior sister as soon as possible and take her away. Make your choice." After saying this, Tonglinger took a step back and didn't say anything else. No matter what, the choice was in Longao's hands, not hers. It was quiet. Longao was also thinking quietly, because what Linger said made sense. This time, he didn't enter the Martial Artists Alliance to fight Tingli, nor to act recklessly. His real goal was to see Yuyin, and take Yuyin away in the end. Was he really going to lose this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity just because of a fight? After thinking for a while, Longao finally decided to consider the big picture. As for the fight with Tingli, he would think about it later. "Linger, if I enter the Water Moon Paradise and your father finds out, you won't be in trouble, right?" Longao wasn't stupid. Of course, he knew what the Water Moon Paradise meant. It was one of the forbidden areas of the Martial Artists Alliance, the place where the Mongols of the Martial Artists Alliance cultivated in seclusion. He believed that apart from Linger and the Alliance Master, no one else, not even the Deputy Alliance Master, could enter the Water Moon Paradise. If the Alliance Master wanted to take responsibility, Longao wasn't worried. At most, he could just leave. But what about Linger? Smiling, Linger said in surprise. Longao, don't worry about this. Ever since my father gave the Watermoon Paradise to me, he hasn't come here for so many years. So don't worry, just cultivate at ease. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. Longao, I've given you a chance, but I hope you'll take it. Don't worry, I will. Longao was sincerely grateful to Linger. As for accepting Linger, that was something he couldn't do. Let's go. Nodding, Longao followed Linger to the mountain in front of them. After a while, the two of them disappeared into the mountain. It was a huge cave. The cave was very smooth. Drip, 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 as if it was raining. As soon as he stepped into the Watermoon Paradise, Longao was shocked. He was also very curious about what kind of place the Watermoon Paradise was. After all, the Alliance Master had cultivated in seclusion for 100 years in the Watermoon Paradise, and reached such a super level. 100 years in seclusion sounded very long, but Longao knew very well that the Alliance Master was able to reach such a level in such a short period of time. Such talent was enough to make him look down on all the heroes. The Watermoon Paradise. It was one of the forbidden areas of the Martial Artists Alliance. No matter who it was, even the Vice Alliance Master, they couldn't easily enter the Watermoon Paradise. Otherwise, no matter who it was, they would be killed by the Alliance Master. The ceiling of the Watermoon Paradise was transparent. One could see the 9 heavens. When night fell, the 9 moons in the sky were reflected in the cave. The scenery was very beautiful. Linger, other than the spiritual chi being stronger than outside, I really can't see what's so special about the Watermoon Paradise. Longao was very curious. Since entering the Watermoon Paradise, he had been sensing the cave, but he still couldn't sense anything special. Longao knew very well that things couldn't be so simple. After all, Linger had just said that the Alliance Master had cultivated in seclusion here for 100 years and was one of the strongest people in the Tianwu continent. Furthermore, the Alliance Master had given the Watermoon Paradise to Linger. There had to be a special meaning. Otherwise, the Alliance Master wouldn't be so bored. Linger shook her head. I don't know. Back then, when Father gave the Watermoon Paradise to me, he only said that everything was fated. Everything was fated? What did that mean? Longao, you can cultivate here. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Chapter 939. Linger did not say anything else and left the Aquamoon Paradise. Standing alone in the Aquamoon Paradise, Longao thought about what the Alliance Master had said to Linger. Everything was connected by fate. After thinking about it, Longao finally understood it this way. The Aquamoon Paradise had its own secrets. If one wanted to obtain an opportunity, it would depend on one's luck. Without a doubt, Linger had not encountered an opportunity after so many years. Without thinking about it, Longao immediately began to observe the situation in the Aquamoon Paradise. Since Linger had risked her life to help him, if he did not seize the opportunity, he would be the first one to let Linger down. Long Fu, what did you sense? Inside the Dragon Seal space. Since entering the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao rarely communicated with Long Fu. The reason was simple. The Martial Artists Alliance had many powerful people. If someone sensed Long Fu's presence, it would be troublesome. Master, the Aquamoon Paradise is a treasure land. If I'm not mistaken, there should be a secret in the Aquamoon Paradise. What secret? I don't know. Master, whether there is an opportunity in the Aquamoon Paradise depends on your luck. I can help you. Moreover, I don't dare to sense the Aquamoon Paradise. If we are discovered by powerful people, both of us will be in trouble. Nodding, Longao knew what Long Fu meant. In the end, Long Fu could not sense the Aquamoon Paradise with his aura. It seemed impossible to rely on Long Fu to find the secret of the Aquamoon Paradise. Inside the secret chamber, Tong Tiandi, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes. His face was extremely gloomy. Someone dares to enter the Aquamoon Paradise. When Tong Tiandi gave the Aquamoon Paradise to Linger, he left a secret. He filled the entire place with his aura. Once someone entered the Aquamoon Paradise, he would be the first to sense it. Tong Tiandi was very nervous about the Aquamoon Paradise. Everything he had today was thanks to the Aquamoon Paradise. No matter who it was, anyone who dared to enter the Aquamoon Paradise without permission would die without a doubt. In the next second, Tong Tiandi's body disappeared from the secret room. Inside the water moon cave, Longao was trying to sense the Aquamoon heavenly abode to see his luck. If he could really encounter a fortuitous encounter, then his strength would increase by leaps and bounds. At that time, he would have more confidence in taking away Yuin. At this moment, Longao's expression changed abruptly. Before he could react, his body was locked down by a cold aura. He didn't dare act rashly, as Longao could clearly sense that this icy aura could kill him in a matter of minutes. "Who are you? You've entered my water moon paradise, but you didn't even know that I was there. You're truly courting death." Longao was not an idiot. When he heard those words, he was completely stunned. This was because he had already guessed who the person who had locked onto him at this time was. The leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Linger's father, Tong Tiandi. Tong Tiandi's strength was unfathomable. Others might not know, but Longao clearly knew that even if Tong Tiandi's strength hadn't reached the pinnacle of martial arts and wasn't comparable to the marvelous mathematician and Tian Dao, it was probably close. Longao even guessed that Tong Tiandi's strength should be comparable to Long Tian and the others. There was a slight tremor in the air, and a small light spot slowly enlarged. In the blink of an eye, the light spot turned into a ball of light. Next, the ball of light disappeared, and a middle-aged man appeared. He looked 60 to 70% similar to Tong Linger. There was no need to guess. Longao could almost guess who this person was. Black Wolf greets the leader. Tong Tiandi seemed a little surprised when he heard the other party's self-introduction. He nodded indifferently, looked around, and asked in a cold voice, "Who let you in?" "Leader, I accidentally entered this place. I didn't know this was your place. I hope you can forgive me." Longao didn't tell the truth. Longao knew very well that even if Tong Linger was the leader's daughter, once Tong Tiandi knew about this, Tong Tiandi and himself would be in big trouble. That was why Longao was prepared to take all the responsibility. Who was Tong Tiandi? As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiandi could be said to be an old fox. Of course, he knew the truth. If it wasn't for his daughter, Black Wolf wouldn't have entered the Aquamoon heavenly abode. Tong Tiandi more or less had a good impression of Black Wolf. "Black Wolf, do you know where the Aquamoon heavenly abode is?" Longao wanted to shake his head, but he knew very well that since the other party had already discovered him, even if he tried to hide the truth, he wouldn't be able to. "I know. The Aquamoon heavenly abode is the forbidden area of the Martial Artists Alliance. It is also the place where the leader cultivates in seclusion. Since you know, or did you accidentally enter?" Longao didn't say anything, because he already sensed that the other party didn't have the slightest intention to kill him. Otherwise, with Tong Tiandi's strength, it would have been impossible for him to survive until now. "You are Longao?" Hearing the other party call out his name, Longao was shocked. In the Martial Artists Alliance, besides Tong Ling and Yuin, no one else seemed to know his true identity. Since things had already reached this point, how could Longao continue to hide it? Longao knew very well that since Tong Tiandi already knew his identity, there was no doubt that Tong Tiandi must have sent people to ask about him. However, Longao was very curious. He didn't know how the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance knew his true identity. "Since the leader already knows, then I won't hide it anymore. That's right, I am Longao." Longao had a grudge with the Martial Artists Alliance, but he couldn't figure out what Tong Tiandi was trying to do. However, after thinking about it, Longao still answered truthfully. As the saying goes, if there is a disaster, it can't be avoided. What will come will come. If there was no other choice, he would just enter the dragon seal space. He believed that even Tong Tiandi wouldn't be able to follow him into the dragon seal space. You are not bad. To be able to grow to this point in such a short period of time, you must have had a fortuitous encounter. Long family has already announced to the world that you are no longer a disciple of the Long family. Since you are friends with Linger, I will give you a chance to join the Martial Artists Alliance. How about it? Tong Tiandi's attitude made Longao even more confused. Under normal circumstances, as the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiandi should be high and mighty. Why would he put Longao in his eyes? Could it really be for Linger? That's not very likely. Longao didn't know why, but he had a feeling that Tong Tiandi had a motive for doing this. P.S. The last chapter was updated at midnight. Little Nine tidied up the plot. Chapter 940. Alliance Leader, I am now a disciple of the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao knew very well what would happen if he rejected Tong Tiandi. If he was alone, Longao would not be afraid at all. However, the situation was different now. Yuan did not know what was going on, and Linger was still there. After thinking about it, he decided that he could not fall out with the Martial Artists Alliance for the time being. Tong Tiandi was the alliance leader of the Martial Artists Alliance. If he fell out with Tong Tiandi, it would be equivalent to falling out with the Martial Artists Alliance. Ha ha, good. Tong Tiandi seemed to be very satisfied with Longao. He even seemed to have forgotten about the fact that he had broken into the Aquamoon cave without permission. Longao, I will keep your identity a secret for the time being. As for the fact that you have entered the Aquamoon cave, I will not make a fuss about it. Hearing this, Longao was not surprised at all. Nobody knew what medicine Heavenly Emperor Tong was selling in his gourd. As the saying goes, it is hard to know what is in a person's heart. Longao did not care about the Martial Artists Alliance, or the Long family. It had nothing to do with him. All he wanted was to take Yuan away. Thank you, Alliance Leader. Since you have entered the Aquamoon cave, I will say the same thing again. Everything is fate. After saying that, Tong Tiandi's figure disappeared from the cave. Only Longao was left in the cave. Standing quietly in the Aquamoon cave, Longao was thinking about what Tong Tiandi had said. The alliance leader of the Martial Artists Alliance had not only come to deal with him, but also treated him so well. What did that mean? In the secret chamber, Long family leader Long Ditian smiled and said, Brother Tong, thank you very much. Waving his hand, Tong Tiandi said curiously, You and I are friends. This is just a small matter. Brother Long, I am very curious. Since you value Longao so much, why did you expel him from the Long family? Tong Tiandi, Long Ditian. Their names were very special, especially the last two words, which were reversed. Tong Tiandi was the alliance leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, while Long Ditian was the Long family leader. The two were the most powerful people in the Tianwu continent. Long Ditian smiled helplessly and sighed. He said Long Ditian said, Long families long ago, the Dragon Clan and Dragon Clan, 1,000-year calamity. Longao? That's right, it's him. However, Longao's strength and cultivation speed are too slow. Without any other choice, I can only announce to the public that I have expelled him from the Long family. I hope that Longao will be able to grow quickly outside. If Long Ditian's words were heard by Longao or anyone else, it was unknown whether they would be cursed. What kind of joke was this? Longao's cultivation speed and talent were simply extraordinary. However, such an existence was extremely slow in Long Ditian's eyes. Nodding his head, Tong Tiandi seemed to be able to understand what Long Ditian meant. After all, he was very clear on what 1,000-year calamity meant. Master Divine Mathematician hasn't appeared for so many years. I also have something to ask him. Thinking about it, Tong Tiandi continued, Brother Long, I really can't imagine what kind of calamity will befall the Long family and Dragon Clan. Do you think Master Divine Mathematician made a mistake? Made a mistake? Long Di Tian actually hoped that Master Divine Mathematician had made a mistake. He helplessly said, "Brother Tong, I believe that you know Master Divine Mathematician better than I do. In the Tianwu continent, Master Divine Mathematician's words are almost always true." The two of them naturally knew who Master Divine Mathematician was. Master Divine Mathematician was an expert who had truly reached the peak of the martial path in the Tianwu continent. Furthermore, he was proficient in the Tao of divination. Master Divine Mathematician's predictions were almost always correct. "Brother Long, forgive me for speaking bluntly. Instead of waiting in fear every day, why don't you go to the Outer Sea Crystal Palace and personally ask Master Divine Mathematician for an answer? At that time, your Long family and Dragon clan will be able to make preparations." Hearing Tong Tiandi's words, Long Di Tian lowered his head and began to ponder. In the end, he nodded his head and agreed. He had to trouble Master Divine Mathematician for this matter. Whether he would be able to obtain an answer was something that no one could say for sure. "That's right. Brother Long, what should we do about Longao?" After thinking for a while, Long Di Tian said, "Brother Tong, Longao will stay in the Martial Artists Alliance for this period of time. Don't come out for anything. I will thank you for this matter later. Please." "You're welcome." After Long Di Tian left, Tong Tiandi was the only one left in the secret room. All of a sudden, Tong Tiandi sneered and coldly snorted. "I will make you very satisfied." Within the Aquamoon Paradise, Longao was completely unaware of the matter between Long Di Tian and Tong Tiandi. At this moment, Longao was wholeheartedly focused on the Aquamoon Paradise. According to Linger, once he obtained an opportunity within the Aquamoon Paradise, his cultivation speed would increase countless times. Strength. As for Tingli, Longao did not appear for the battle 3 days later. This caused a lot of discussion. However, the most common theory was that Black Wolf was afraid and did not dare to come. Those who originally admired Black Wolf started to scold him. They all said that Black Wolf was a paper tiger. If Black Wolf did not come, Tingli could not do anything. After all, even he could not find the whereabouts of Black Wolf. Without any other choice, Black Wolf could only look for Linger. In the end, other than being jealous, Black Wolf wanted to see how powerful the divine weapon in Black Wolf's hands was. In Linger's courtyard. "Tingli, you are a little too reckless. How dare you come to me and ask for her? Do you really think that you are the eldest senior brother?" To be honest, Tingli was still a little afraid of Linger. Not to mention that Linger's strength was far above his. Linger's identity alone made him not dare to provoke her. Otherwise, he would not even know how he died. However, things had already come to this point. Tingli could no longer care about anything else. He smiled and said, "Linger, the day of my battle with Black Wolf has arrived, but Black Wolf did not come. I would like to ask, is Black Wolf afraid, or is he afraid?" Tingli emphasized that he was afraid again and again. His meaning was very clear. He wanted to belittle Black Wolf as much as possible in front of Linger. He had to be ruthless against his love rival. Otherwise, how could he win? "Why didn't Black Wolf come? How would I know?" "Tingli, what are you trying to say?" Ignoring Linger's gloomy face, Tingli continued. 3 days ago, Linger was the one who helped Black Wolf leave. Therefore, I guessed that you and Black Wolf should have a good relationship. Therefore, I came to ask you where Black Wolf went. Or is he hiding and not daring to come out?" Chapter 941. If it was Linger in the past, she would have exploded like a volcano. However, it was true that Black Wolf didn't go. "Get out! Linger! Get out!" This time, Linger didn't give Tingli any chance to speak. A terrifying aura burst out from Linger's body, enveloping Tingli and throwing him out. Plop! Unsurprisingly, Tingli's entire body was sent flying. In the next second, he made the most intimate contact with the ground. If Linger had not shown mercy, just this alone would have been enough to kill Tingli. Tingli struggled to get up from the ground. His face was extremely gloomy. Tingli was only a yellow-grade Great Emperor while Linger was a genuine titled Great Emperor. The gap between the two was too big. They weren't even on the same level. The 10 realms of Great Emperors were red-grade Great Emperor, orange-grade Great Emperor, yellow-grade Great Emperor, green-grade Great Emperor, cyan-grade Great Emperor, blue-grade Great Emperor, purple-grade Great Emperor, black-grade Great Emperor, white-grade Great Emperor, and gold-grade Great Emperor. Above the 10 realms of Great Emperor was the titled Great Emperor. Linger, I will definitely get you. As for Black Wolf, I will make him wish he was dead. Tingli didn't continue to go in. He turned and left quickly. In the courtyard, Tong Linger's face wasn't looking good. Tingli's strength was obvious. Even if Longao had some trump cards, he wouldn't be Tingli's opponent. Luckily, Longao had entered the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave. If he was lucky, he might be able to break through after Longao left. At that time, he wouldn't have to worry about meeting Tingli again. Inside the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, in the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. However, Longao still hadn't found the so-called opportunity. After looking around, he sat on the ground and looked around gloomily. Long Fu, why don't you release your aura and try to sense the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave? Since Tong Tiandi no longer pursued him for entering the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, Longao was almost certain that Tong Tiandi was no longer monitoring him. In that case, he might as well ask Long Fu for help. It seemed that it would be very difficult for him to obtain the opportunity in the Aquamoon Heavenly Abode by himself. Long Fu didn't even think and said, Master, the entire Aquamoon Heavenly Grotto is filled with auras. If I release my own aura, Tong Tiandi will definitely sense it. He was a little surprised. Longao had a new understanding of Tong Tiandi's strength. The fact that Long Fu was so afraid of Tong Tiandi already explained everything. Master, Tong Tiandi is right. Everything is fated. If you are not fated with the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, then even if you find it, it will be useless. Nodding his head, Longao did not continue asking. He already understood what Long Fu meant. He still had to rely on himself. Everything was fated. He didn't continue to waste time. Although Linger and Tong Tiandi didn't set a time limit for him in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, Longao was still a little anxious. The reason was that he wanted to see Yuyin as soon as possible. After 3 whole days, Longao even doubted whether he would have the opportunity to obtain the opportunity in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave. After thinking about it, Longao finally made a decision. If he still couldn't obtain the so-called opportunity in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave in 10 days, then he would choose to leave the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave and find a way to see Yuyin. If it was an ordinary person who finally managed to enter the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, even if they couldn't obtain the opportunity temporarily, they would most likely stay in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave forever, even if it was for the rest of their lives. However, Longao's situation was completely different. Again, the main reason why Longao joined the Martial Artists Alliance was to see Yuyin. If he had to choose between Yuyin and the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, then without a doubt, Longao would definitely choose Yuyin, not the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave. Sitting quietly in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, Longao really didn't have the strength to continue sensing. After 3 whole days, what was supposed to come would come. What didn't belong to him, no matter how hard he tried, would never belong to him. At night, the entire cave was shrouded in moonlight. The reflection of the 9 heavens in the cave was very beautiful. In the center of the cave, there was a huge pool. There was nothing in it, which was the so-called empty pool. From the beginning to the end, Longao didn't pay attention to the pool. However, at this moment, his eyes narrowed, and his face was filled with disbelief. He slowly stood up and walked to the pool. With just a glance, Longao's face became even more shocked. The pool, which was originally empty, now seemed to be covered in layers of moonlight, as if it was filled with water. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have never seen such a miraculous scene. Could this be the secret of the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave? Longao, I have to admit that your luck is the best I've ever seen. Hearing the voice behind him, Longao was a little surprised. because he never thought that Tong Tiandi would come to the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave again. Not only that, but he also didn't think that he would really encounter the opportunity of the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't happy. Alliance Master, you said that the secret of the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave is in this pool? Tong Tiandi nodded with a smile on his face. It was impossible to tell what the other party was thinking. That's right, the secret of the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave is in this pool. Tong Tiandi walked to the pool and continued. Back then, when I got the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, it took me a whole 30 years to get the opportunity here. I really didn't expect that you would get it in just 3 days. 30 years? That was a shock. Alliance Master, I want to ask, what should I do now? Longao was very clear that even if he obtained an opportunity, it would not be an easy thing to quickly increase his strength. One had to know that the Alliance leader had spent an entire 100 years to achieve today's achievements. Could it be that he had to cultivate here for 100 years? Impossible. Longao had already thought about this matter. Even if he had already obtained the opportunity, he would leave the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave in a month at most, no matter how far his cultivation base could break through. This was because he was really anxious and couldn't wait to see his lover. Longao, I believe that you already know the meaning of the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave. Now that you're in the pool, you should know the secret. Back then, I cultivated in the pool for a whole 10 days, but I cultivated in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave for 300 years. Hearing Tong Tiandi's words, Longao almost choked. He asked impatiently, Alliance Master, didn't you cultivate in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave for 100 years? Why is it 300 years now? Longao knew very well the difference between cultivating for 100 years and cultivating for 300 years. The two were two completely different concepts and couldn't be compared. Chapter 942. 300 years. I'm the first. Longao didn't continue asking because he already knew what Tong Tiandi meant. Alliance Master, if that's the case, I'll go in first. Since things had already come to this point, Longao didn't want to waste any more time. He had already decided that once he entered the pool, he would leave the Aquamoon Heavenly Abode. As for continuing to cultivate here, that was absolutely impossible. Even if he had to break through Tong Tiandi's realm in 300 years, Longao would still choose to give up. However, Tong Tiandi waved his hand and said, Wait a moment. I have something to say to you. Longao was very curious, but he still walked to the side and sat down at the same time as Tong Tiandi. Longao, I know Linger's personality very well. All these years, Linger has never cared so much about a man, let alone bringing him into the Aquamoon Heavenly Abode. Longao wasn't a fool. The Alliance Master's meaning was very clear. However, Longao still didn't admit it because there were some things that didn't need to be said out loud. Longao, if I'm not wrong, Linger should be very fond of you. What do you think? He sighed deeply in his heart. How could Longao not know about Linger's feelings? But could he agree? In Longao's heart, there were only two women. One was Aoshue, and the other was Yuin. Other than them, there was no room for anyone else. If he could accept it, he wouldn't have waited until now. Long Jing was an example. Longao didn't want to hurt Linger, but after thinking about it, it was better to deal with it quickly. If he rejected now, at least he could completely cut off Linger's thoughts. Thinking of this, Longao said honestly, Alliance Master, to be honest, I already have a lover. Your lover is Yuin, right? My grass. Longao cursed in his heart. He had never imagined that the Alliance Master would know about the matter between him and Yuin. If that was the case, how much more did Tong Tiandi know? However, since the other party already knew, there was no need for him to continue hiding it. Longao nodded and replied, That's right. That little girl, Yuin, is not bad. If there are no accidents, Yuin should be a warrior of the Supreme Tao now. You joined the Martial Artists Alliance this time mainly for Yuin, right? That's right. Warriors of the Supreme Tao. Longao smiled bitterly. He had thought of countless possibilities before. With Yu Yin's physique and the full support of the Martial Artists Alliance, it would be very good if she could break through to the Great Emperor realm in just a few years. However, he still didn't expect that Yu Yin was already a warrior of the Supreme Tao. It was unbelievable. Longao, although I am the Alliance Master, there are some things that I can't intervene in. Therefore, if you want to take Yu Yin away, you have to rely on yourself. I understand. Whether it was a mountain of swords or a sea of flames, Longao had already decided that he had to take Yu Yin away, even if he had to die in battle. I won't ask about the matter between you and Yu Yin. As for the matter between you and Linger, I won't interfere. I have always believed in fate. If you and Linger are fated to be together, then you will naturally walk together. Thank you, Alliance Master. Longao had a good impression of the Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. In this case, he also decided that after this matter was over, he would immediately find Ling and make everything clear. Again, Longao didn't want to hurt Linger. Longao, do you know the leader of the Heaven and Earth sect Yigudu? The 10 Tripod, the Long Family, the Alchemy Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wanshou sect, the Heaven and Earth sect, the 5 Elements sect, the Wanzhan School, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, and the Black Heaven sect. Among the 3 sects, the Heaven and Earth sect was one of them. One could imagine how strong and powerful the Heaven and Earth sect was. As for Yigudu, Longao couldn't say whether he knew him or not. Because from beginning to end, he had never really seen Yigudu. He had only seen Yigudu's doppelganger when he stepped on the stairway to heaven twice. Longao knew very well that Yigudu of the Heaven and Earth sect and the Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance next to him stood at the same height in terms of strength and status. Alliance Master, to be honest, I once reached the top of the stairway to heaven, so I saw Yigudu's doppelganger. As for whether I know Yigudu or not, I really can't answer you on this point. To tell the truth, Longao really didn't know whether he knew Yigudu or not. Longao, if there's nothing else, you'd better stay away from Yigudu. Among the 10 sects, this person is the most dangerous. Do you understand? Longao didn't know whether Tong Tiandi was being kind or had other intentions, but Longao nodded. Alliance Master, I'll remember. Longao, since you and Ling are friends, then if you don't mind, you can call me Uncle Tong in the future. Uncle Tong? If Tong Tiandi hadn't said it himself, Longao wouldn't have dared to imagine that the Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance would actually ask him to call him Uncle Tong. It was really unbelievable. However, Longao didn't want to waste time, so in the end, he still called him Uncle Tong. Moreover, Longao had already thought that if he had such a strong backer, wouldn't it be much easier to take away Yu Yin in the future? Tong Tiandi seemed to be able to see Longao's impatience. He smiled, got up, and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Only after Tong Tiandi left did Longao let out a sigh of relief. Without any hesitation, Longao immediately got up and went to the side of the pool. According to Tong Tiandi's words, even he had used a total of 30 years to achieve such a miraculous scene. As for the current situation, it had taken him a total of 300 years. And this was Tong Tiandi, not to mention other people. Not to mention 300 years, even 3,000 years might not be enough to achieve such a feat after all. Tong Tiandi's talent and potential, even in the entire Tianwu continent, was a super-existence. Long Fu, is the pool all right? Longao didn't enter the pool rashly. If he wasn't careful, the pool wasn't an opportunity, but a so-called trap or danger. Wouldn't he be in a lot of trouble? Master, quickly enter the pool. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. I can almost guarantee that once you enter the pool, you will only need a month to break through a level. A month? Break through a level? What kind of concept was that? Longao was very clear that his cultivation had already broken through the Crimson Grade Great Emperor realm. If he could break through to the next level, then it would be the so-called Orange Grade Great Emperor realm. Just thinking about breaking through from the Crimson Grade Great Emperor realm to the Orange Grade Great Emperor realm in a month's time made him extremely excited. Because of this, Longao didn't continue to hesitate and directly jumped into the pool. Chapter 943. In the pool. Longao's expression changed the moment he stepped into the pool. He finally knew what kind of opportunity was in the pool. The pool itself was a treasure. With the help of the power of heaven and earth and the water-moon paradise, it formed a special holy land for cultivation. In the pool, one could absorb the essence of heaven and earth at the fastest speed. That's right, it was the essence of heaven and earth. Long Fu, what is the essence of heaven and earth? Longao wasn't very clear about the essence of heaven and earth, as he had never come into contact with it before. Master, the essence of heaven and earth is the purest power in heaven and earth. Although it's not as good as the power of origin, it's definitely the most beneficial power for a martial artist's cultivation. He was pleasantly surprised. Longao had already sensed the difference in the essence of heaven and earth. If he could absorb this essence of heaven and earth, it would be very helpful for his future cultivation, even if his cultivation level didn't increase for the time being. Master, the essence of heaven and earth is not like the power of origin. It's very difficult to condense in heaven and earth. It's hard to imagine that there would be essence of heaven and earth in this place. Even without Long Fu's explanation, Longao knew how precious the essence of heaven and earth was. Since that was the case, he couldn't give up this opportunity. Longao wasn't sure how long the essence of heaven and earth would fill the pool. Therefore, he had to seize every minute and second to absorb as much as he could. The entire pool was filled with a transparent power that constantly entered Longao's body. Back then, it took Tong Tiandi 30 years to encounter the essence of heaven and earth, but he only absorbed it for a month. Longao didn't know how long he could absorb it. Long Fu had already said that although the essence of heaven and earth was not as good as the power of origin, it was the most precious thing for a martial artist. Gradually, Longao was wrapped in a thick cocoon by the essence of heaven and earth. From the outside, one could no longer see Longao's figure, only a transparent and sticky cocoon. Tingli left the courtyard. The anger, envy, and hatred in his heart had already blinded his eyes. Under normal circumstances, Tingli would never do that. However, in the following period of time, Tingli spread the word that Black Wolf was a coward who didn't dare to accept the challenge. When Linger heard the news, she was furious and prepared to kill Tingli. However, at this time, Hades finally appeared. Linger didn't dare to make the slightest move because she knew that Longao's identity couldn't be revealed to her master. Otherwise, Longao would die without a doubt. For a long time, Hades wanted to kill Longao. There were many reasons, but the most important was that he wanted Yu'in to completely sever ties with Longao. From beginning to end, Hades had no idea that Longao would come to the Martial Artists Alliance. In the courtyard. Master, are you looking for me? Linger was very afraid of this master of hers because she knew very well that even if her father personally came, he would still have to be courteous, let alone her. Linger couldn't figure it out. Although her master was powerful, there were many people in the Martial Artists Alliance who were more powerful than her master. Why was her father so afraid of her master? Was there something fishy going on? Linger didn't dare to ask because she knew what she should and shouldn't ask. Linger, I heard that you haven't been cultivating and have been hanging out with an inner sect disciple named Black Wolf. Is this true? Of course, Linger didn't dare to tell the truth. Master, I know Black Wolf before. This time, I only helped a little. As for cultivation, I've been working hard every day, but I still can't break through to the demigod realm. The demigod realm was above the great emperor realm and below the divine path. It was a transitional realm between the great emperor realm and the divine path. In order to break through to the divine path, one must first break through from the titled great emperor realm to the demigod realm. Only then would one be able to sense the god's tribulation. Therefore, Linger only had one thing to do now, and that was to do everything she could to break through from the titled great emperor realm to the demigod realm. This is the main reason I'm here this time. From now on, you'll stay by my side. When you break through to the demigod realm and sense the god's tribulation, you'll leave me. Otherwise, Hades didn't finish his words, but the meaning in his words was clear. Linga was shocked when she heard her master's words. This was the most painful thing in her life. However, since her master had said it, she wouldn't dare to go against her master's wishes even if she had 10,000 guts. Linga thought about it and asked softly, "Master, if I can sense the god's tribulation, will I be free? The Alliance Chief and I are worried about you going through the god's tribulation alone. Therefore, when you sense the god's tribulation and successfully pass it, you'll be free." Hades seemed to have thought of something and continued, "Don't bargain with me. Otherwise, you know the consequences." Linga muttered to herself. Linga was very dissatisfied. However, due to her master's prestige, she could only curse in her heart, and didn't dare to say anything. "Master, Senior Martial Sister has successfully broken through to the Supreme Tao realm. Will you let Senior Martial Sister return to the Jiuzhou continent?" "Shut up, Linger. From now on, you're not allowed to mention anything about this." Linger stuck out her tongue. Although her master didn't say it clearly, Linger could guess that her master didn't want her Senior Martial Sister to return to the Jiuzhou continent. He didn't want the two of them to be together. Just like what Linger said. Even if Yu Yin's cultivation successfully broke through to the Supreme Tao realm, she still wouldn't be able to obtain her freedom, let alone leave the Martial Artists Alliance and return to the Jiuzhou continent. It could be said that Yu Yin was the Martial Artists Alliance's priority to nurture. Clear Sky Sect, outside the blood pool in the cave. Yang Dingtian and Zhao Yu had already absorbed all the blood in the blood pool after several months of absorption. The two of them were filled with killing intent and hostility. They were like two killing machines that gave off a feeling that they came from hell. Yang Yu seemed to be very satisfied with their current state. She nodded and said, "The two of you have become masters' left and right hands. In just a few months, you have successfully broken through to the titled Great Emperor realm. Now, the two of you have two things to do. First, kill Longao and take back the god's slaying sword. Second, break through to the demigod realm and even the Supreme Tao realm as soon as possible." "Grandfather, we understand. But before that, there's something we have to do." After the two of them broke through to the titled Great Emperor realm, Yan Yu led the Clear Sky Sect and destroyed the Black Wind Valley in just one day. In the entire Tianwu continent, such things happen almost every day. Therefore, the destruction of the Black Wind Valley didn't cause any commotion. As for the Martial Artists Alliance, regardless of whether it was the Black Wind Valley or the Clear Sky Sect, they were just pawns in front of the Martial Artists Alliance. Even if the two sects were destroyed, the Martial Artists Alliance wouldn't have any reaction. Yan Yu of the Clear Sky Sect knew this clearly. However, she didn't provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. Chapter 944. Destroy Black Wind Valley. What Yang Yu did next was to lock onto Longao's position. But even if Yang Yu was beaten to death, he would never expect that his enemy, Longao, would be in the Martial Artists Alliance, and in the forbidden area of the Martial Artists Alliance. After all, the Heavenly Sect was still a subsidiary sect of the Martial Artists Alliance. Not only the Heavenly Sect, but even the Long family's first elder was also looking for Longao's whereabouts. Long Heng knew that he only had 9 months to deal with Longao. Once Longao returned to the Long family after 9 months, he would be in big trouble. If it wasn't for the Master's intervention, Longao would never deal with an ordinary disciple with Long Heng's status. It was still the same thing. There was also an intense struggle within the Long clan. In the Martial Artists Alliance, Linga was forcefully taken away by Hades. She didn't even have time to inform Longao. Teng Li's efforts to defame Longao seemed to be losing its effect. After all, Longao wasn't famous in the Martial Artists Alliance. He only defeated Lu Tianxi, 3 orange great monarch spirit beasts, and a divine weapon. This wasn't enough for everyone to remember him. Teng Li was very unwilling. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. The angrier he got, the more he wanted to kill Black Wolf. But the problem now was that he couldn't find Black Wolf even after searching the entire Martial Artists Alliance. Black Wolf seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. As for Longao, he was still in the Aquamoon heavenly abode. In the pool, Longao was wrapped in the essence of heaven and earth like a huge cocoon. No one knew what was going on inside the cocoon. Inside the huge cocoon, Longao closed his eyes and kept absorbing the essence of heaven and earth around him. If it was an ordinary person, even Tong Tiandi, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth wouldn't be able to convert it into energy and break through. But Longao was different. Longao had already circulated the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique when the heaven and earth essence had been released. Although he didn't know if this would work, he had to give it a try since things had come to this point. After trying it out, Longao was pleasantly surprised. Longao discovered that as he circulated the 9 revolutions samsara arts, he could convert the world essence he absorbed into energy for his own cultivation in the shortest time possible. Even so, 90% of the heaven and earth essence was still absorbed by his body and dantian. It seemed that it would not be easy to completely refine the heaven and earth essence. Longao finally understood why Tong Tiandi had to stay in the water moon cave for 300 years even though he had absorbed the essence of heaven and earth. Without a doubt, Longao could almost be sure that the heavenly Emperor Tong of the past, with the help of the Aquamoon heavenly abode, had spent a total of 300 years to completely refine all the heaven and earth essence he had absorbed. Thinking about it, it was a terrifying thing. Even if Longao had full confidence and the help of the 9 revolutions samsara arts, he would still need at least 100 years to refine it. 100 years. Longao tried his best to refine the heaven and earth essence he had absorbed and fused it, hoping to break through as soon as possible. As expected, Longao could clearly feel that ever since he had absorbed the heaven and earth essence, his cultivation had broken through from the beginner Crimson Great Emperor realm to the intermediate Crimson Great Emperor realm in just a few days. If he continued to develop at this rate, he believed that he would be able to break through to the orange level Great Emperor realm in less than a month. According to Tong Tiandi, he had absorbed the heaven and earth essence for a whole month before the heaven and earth anomaly gradually disappeared. If he was lucky, he would be able to break through to the orange-level Great Emperor realm after absorbing the heaven and earth essence for a month. He might even be able to break through to a higher level. Everything was possible. As for how long he would need to refine the remaining heaven and earth essence, he had no idea. 10 days passed by quietly. With the help of the heaven and earth essence, Longao's cultivation had broken through again in just 10 days. He had entered the advanced Crimson Great Emperor realm from the intermediate Crimson Great Emperor realm. It would take at most 5 days for Longao's cultivation to break through again and reach the so-called peak Crimson Great Emperor realm. While Longao was pleasantly surprised, he didn't dare to relax at all. Outside the Aquamoon heavenly abode, Tong Tiandi's expression changed when he felt the aura leaking out of the Aquamoon heavenly abode. He couldn't believe that Longao had already sensed the heaven and earth essence in just 3 days. Even he felt ashamed of his own inferiority when it came to such talent and potential. Tong Tiandi even wondered if it was a good thing or a bad thing to let Longao stay. Taking a step back, if Longao left the Martial Artists Alliance and returned to the Long family, wouldn't Tong Tiandi's efforts be in vain? However, Tong Tiandi decided to take a gamble in the end. He bet that Longao wouldn't return to the Long family and would stay in the Martial Artists Alliance. If that was the case, it might not be a bad thing for the Martial Artists Alliance. I hope you can be of use to me. Tong Tiandi didn't stay any longer. He turned and left. Soon, he disappeared without a trace. 40 days later, the giant cocoon broke open instantly. Longao sat quietly in the pool. The heaven and earth essence had already disappeared without a trace. Gradually opening his eyes, Longao's face was filled with surprise. In just 40 days, his cultivation base had not only broken through from the Crimson Great Monarch realm to the Orange Great Monarch realm, he had even reached the peak of the Orange Great Monarch realm. He was only 1 step away. Longao felt helpless. If he could absorb the heaven and earth essence for 10 more days, his cultivation could definitely break through from the orange-level Great Emperor realm to the yellow-level Great Emperor realm. However, things didn't go as he wished. He only absorbed the heaven and earth essence for 40 days. He couldn't even do it in 10 days. However, Longao was very satisfied. How could an ordinary person break through to the peak orange-level Great Emperor realm in just 40 days? As for the remaining heaven and earth essence, Longao had already calculated. Even if he used the 9-cycle reincarnation technique, he would still have to refine it slowly. 40 days, to a martial artist, it might just be the time of a blink of an eye. But to Longao, 40 days was too long. If he continued to stay in the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, his cultivation speed would definitely be faster. However, Longao chose to leave in the end. He hoped to see Yuyin as soon as possible. After leaving the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, Longao wanted to find Linger first. No matter what, he had to thank Linger. If it wasn't for Linger's help, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Aquamoon Heavenly Cave, let alone absorb the heaven and earth essence and break through to the peak orange-level Great Emperor realm. Longao had just arrived outside the courtyard. "Black Wolf, you've finally appeared. Even if you're afraid, you don't have to be like this. I don't want to despise you, but I can't help but despise you. I really wonder why Linger likes a cowardly turtle like you." Chapter 945. Grapes that can't be eaten will always be sour. Hearing the other party's mockery, Tingli was instantly enraged. "Tingli, the reason why I didn't go was because I had something urgent to do. Don't think that you're invincible. I can tell you clearly that you're not even a fart in my eyes." Longao didn't like people like Tingli. Just because he was a core disciple of the Martial Artists Alliance, and a yellow-grade Great Emperor martial artist, he was arrogant. More importantly, he was very uncomfortable that Tingli was always framing his relationship with Linger. "Black Wolf, cut the crap. Do you have the guts to accept the battle 40 days ago?" He continued to issue challenges. In Tingli's eyes, the young man in front of him was always a great danger. No matter what happened, he had to take care of the other party. Under normal circumstances, he couldn't kill the other party, so there was only one way, which was to issue a challenge. Once the other party accepted the challenge, even if he killed the other party during the battle, the Martial Artists Alliance wouldn't blame him. In Tingli's eyes, the Black Wolf in front of him would definitely not dare to accept the challenge. If Black Wolf dared to accept the challenge, then the Black Wolf wouldn't be a coward 40 days ago. Tingli was very confident. Even if the other party had the help of a divine weapon, he was still a red-grade Great Emperor martial artist. If he wanted to kill the other party, it would be a matter of minutes. Longao of course knew the confidence in Tingli's heart. If it was 40 days ago, Longao would be more or less worried. Even if he used the Annihilation Divine Bow, it would be difficult to kill Tingli. After all, the difference between a red-grade Great Emperor and a yellow-grade Great Emperor was too big. But now, Longao's cultivation base had successfully broken through to the peak of the orange-grade Great Emperor realm. He wanted to test his current strength and see if he could contend against the yellow-grade Great Emperor realm martial artist. It was still unknown. Just as he wanted to test it out, Longao accepted the challenge. "Tingli, I accept the challenge. Life and death cliff." Longao waved his hand and didn't give Tingli any chance to speak. He continued, "Let's choose another place." Longao had already thought about it. In order to be able to see Yuyin as soon as possible, he was definitely not willing to go to the life and death cliff unless it was absolutely necessary. His previous battle with Lu Tianxi had already been publicized. However, from Tingli's point of view, Longao did not dare to go to the cliff of life and death because he was afraid that Tingli would kill him. After all, the Martial Artists Alliance had a clear rule that only battles on the cliff of life and death were allowed regardless of life and death. As for other places, the rules were not the same. "Black Wolf, if you're afraid of death, you can refuse my challenge." Regarding Tingli's meaning, how could Longao not know? "Tingli, You can choose any location. We will fight to the death, no matter who dies. I hope you won't run away when the time comes. Tingli sneered and turned around to leave. Longao did not linger and followed Tingli. The two of them, one in front and one behind, disappeared without a trace in a short while. Behind the Martial Artists' Alliance, on the top of a barren mountain. Usually, almost no one would come to this barren mountain. Tingli's intention for choosing this place was very clear. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that no one cared about this place to kill Black Wolf. When the time came, no one would know. He believed that even the Martial Artists' Alliance would not know. Black Wolf, if you kneel down and beg me now, I can let you go. This kind of words again. Every time Longao heard this kind of words, he could not stand it. Without saying any more nonsense, Longao's body suddenly disappeared from his original spot. This time, he did not plan to use the silent divine bow. As for this place being so secluded, even if he used some trump cards, it would not be impossible. Since things had come to this point, Longao did not plan to keep Tingli alive. It was still the same saying. Sometimes, being kind to the enemy was the cruelest to oneself. Especially at this time, there must not be any accidents. Otherwise, not to mention whether he would be safe, he did not even know if he could see Yuin. Because of this, Longao had decided that no matter what happened in this battle, he would kill Tingli. With the help of spatial teleportation, Longao's body instantly disappeared from the spot. This gave Tingli a fright. He did not know what had happened. How could Longao disappear right under his nose? He did not dare to be careless. Before Tingli could react, Longao's body had already appeared. There was no mercy. The deity's slaying sword in Longao's hand had already slashed out. The Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal strikes rang out at the same time. At the same time, terrifying swords came one after another. The surrounding space seemed to be trembling. Tingli was a little frightened. He did not dare to imagine how Black Wolf, who was originally a Crimson Grade Great Emperor, could suddenly become a Peak Orange Grade Great Emperor. If it was an ordinary Orange Grade Great Emperor, Tingli could almost ignore it. This was because the gap between an Orange Grade Great Emperor and a Yellow Grade Great Emperor was very big. But for some reason, Tingli did not have full confidence in fighting Black Wolf. Tingli dodged in time, but he was still injured by the sword chi. He rolled and crawled. If he did not dodge in time, Tingli would have been killed by the dragon's sword chi. He was overjoyed. Longao finally knew his own strength. He could definitely fight against the Yellow Grade Great Emperor. Chapter 946. In the beginning, Tingli was still full of confidence. However, as the battle continued to escalate, Tingli lost his confidence. As a result, Tingli's strength instantly weakened. He was overjoyed. Of course, Longao wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity. Annihilation Divine Bow. In order to be safe, Longao decided to use the Annihilation Divine Bow's power. With the Annihilation Divine Bow in hand, Longao began to draw the bow with all his strength. One could imagine the power of this bow. Back then, Longao was only a Crimson Great Emperor. With the Annihilation Divine Bow in his hand, he killed Lu Tianzi and 3 Orange Great Emperor Spirit Beasts. What kind of concept was that? It was precisely because of the previous example that when Tingli saw the broken bow in He Lang's hands, he was completely terrified. Of course, Tingli knew the power of the broken bow. It was better to be safe than sorry. If Black Wolf really had the strength to kill him, wouldn't his sacrifice be in vain? Without the confidence from before, Tingli couldn't wait to leave. However, just as he was about to turn around and leave, his whole body was instantly locked. He was shocked. Black Wolf, this battle is over. You win. In this situation, other than admitting defeat, Tingli couldn't think of any other way. No matter what, he had to save his life first. Everything else was nonsense. Would Longao agree? The answer was obvious. If there were people around, Longao certainly wouldn't kill him. However, In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he was prepared to kill Tingli, otherwise, Tingli would bring him endless trouble sooner or later. Because of this, the bow in Longao's hand that was already drawn finally released the arrow. Tingli disappeared without a trace. Longao didn't stay and left. Longao originally wanted to find Linger to thank her. However, when he returned to the courtyard, he couldn't find her. In desperation, Longao could only choose to ask about Yuyin, hoping to see Yuyin as soon as possible. However, the martial artists' alliance was too big. Even with Yin's fame, it wasn't easy to find her in a short time. Furthermore, Longao didn't dare to look for him openly. Once the martial artists' alliance found out about his identity, things would only get more and more troublesome. Although Tingli was a core disciple, for the entire martial artists' alliance, Tingli's disappearance did not attract much attention. As for Longao killing Lu Tianzi and the 3 orange-grade great monarch spirit beasts, it did cause a small commotion. However, as Longao disappeared for 40 days, the commotion was like a stone thrown into the sea. The killing of Tingli this time could be said to have been done in secret. Longao was very confident that this matter would definitely not spread. However, for some unknown reason, less than 6 hours after Longao killed Tingli, the news of him killing Tingli was made public. No matter who it was, after hearing the news, they were all shocked. The Martial Artists Alliance had made it clear that no matter who it was, no one was allowed to kill their fellow disciples in private. If there were any unresolvable grudges, they could go to the cliff of life and death. Black Wolf's actions showed that he didn't put the Martial Artists Alliance in his eyes at all. Other than being shocked, many people were curious, but more of them didn't believe it. After all, the difference in strength between Black Wolf and Tingli was too big. Even if he had a divine weapon, it was almost impossible for a red-grade great monarch martial artist to kill a yellow-grade great monarch martial artist. Longao also received the news and was also shocked. Of course, he knew what it meant if this matter was leaked out. Who could it be? In the entire Martial Artists Alliance, there were only a few people who knew his identity. If that was the case, Hades and Lei Luo could be ruled out. Could it be Mei Kai? After thinking for a while, Longao finally locked on to Mei Kai. Because other than this person, he couldn't think of anyone else who would be bored enough to find trouble with him. If it was an open battle, Longao wouldn't be afraid at all. However, if Mei Kai was playing dirty, then things would be troublesome. Just as expected. In the afternoon when the news was spread, someone sent a message saying that the 2 vice leaders wanted to see Longao. In the Martial Artists Alliance, there were 8 vice leaders. Although their status and strength were similar, the things they were in charge of were different. Shangguan Ye and Tang Hao were usually in charge of the Martial Artists Alliance's punishment. Black Wolf killed Tingli without permission, which violated the Martial Artists Alliance's rules. Of course, the 2 vice leaders would be personally involved. Under normal circumstances, the 2 vice alliance masters would never appear in person. It was precisely because of this that many people began to speculate about He Lang's background. First, Linger had stepped out to help him. Then, the 2 vice leaders had personally summoned him. Could it be that He Lang's background was extraordinary? In a short period of time, Black Wolf became a celebrity in the Martial Artists Alliance. Inside a large hall. The empty hall was very simple. Tang Hao and Shangguan Ye sat in the main seats. Below them sat 4 people, who were their subordinates. Usually, if a disciple committed a crime, no matter if it was an inner disciple or a core disciple, as long as it wasn't a guardian or above, the 2 vice leaders wouldn't appear. Instead, they would let their subordinates handle it. Cousin, since the matter of He Lang killing Tingli has already become a fact, why do we still have to do something unnecessary? Shangguan Ye had already cursed Tang Hao's 18 generations of ancestors in her heart. However, she didn't dare to say anything because of Tang Hao's strength and status. Shangguan Ye was determined to kill Black Wolf. The reason was simple. For so many years, because of him and the Shangguan clan, no one, not even the other vice leaders, dared to provoke them. only this weirdo appeared. Not only did he provoke the Shangguan clan, but he also killed their genius disciple and stole the Kailan blood. If the Shangguan clan didn't get back their dignity, how could he save his face? How could the Shangguan clan survive in the imperial city in the future? Brother Shangguan, no one saw Black Wolf kill Tingli. It seems a little too hasty to convict Black Wolf based on some groundless rumors. Previously, Black Wolf killed Lu Tianxi and the 3 Ironback Azure Bears. I'm very interested in this guy. Let's wait and see. Wait and see, my ass. Shangguan Ye was very curious because Tang Hao was just an insignificant inner disciple. Logically speaking, Tang Hao should have known her intention and should have done her a favor. However, what was the result? What was Tang Hao's intention? Was Tang Hao deliberately going against her? Something didn't seem right. Shangguan Ye didn't say much. After all, Tang Hao had already said so much. If she continued, it would seem unnecessary. At this moment, footsteps came from outside the hall. Without asking, everyone knew who had come. The main character this time was Black Wolf. Chapter 947. Outside the main hall. Longao stood there quietly. He knew that once he stepped into the main hall, it was unknown whether he could come out alive. However, Longao knew that if he did not enter this time, he would lose the chance to see Yuan. Longao also never thought that the matter this time would actually alarm the 2 Vice Alliance leaders. What was to come would come. There was no avoiding it. Longao finally took a step forward, pushed open the door, and walked in. As soon as he stepped into the main hall, Longao saw Tang Hao sitting at the head of the table. He was delighted. After all, among the 10 people, Tang Hao was one of them. As Murong Yenner's grandfather, Tang Hao was on his side. However, Longao did not place all his hopes on Tang Hao. As the saying goes, it is hard to know what is in a person's heart. No one knows whether a person is good or bad. As for the person beside Tang Hao, Longao did not recognize him, but he could guess his identity. If he was not mistaken, this person should be the other deputy leader, one of the 8 deputy leaders. In the Martial Artists Alliance, a deputy leader was already a high position. After all, in the entire Martial Artists Alliance, there was only one leader, and that was Linger's father, Tong Tiandi. Black Wolf greets the 2 deputy leaders. How dare you, Black Wolf? Who do you think you are? How dare you not kneel in front of the 2 deputy leaders? Kneel down now. The 8 people around him were furious. They had never seen such an arrogant and reckless person. How dare he not kneel in front of the deputy leaders? Not to mention a small inner disciple, even a core disciple or a guardian would not have such an attitude in front of the deputy leaders. However, Longao did not put their roars in his eyes. He chose to ignore them. The more Longao acted like this, the angrier the 8 people beside him. However, Tang Hao waved his hand, and the 8 people did not dare to say anything more. I respect the 2 deputy leaders in my heart, but not on my knees. Twisting words and forcing logic. Tang Hao looked at the young man in front of him with great interest. Because of his granddaughter, of course he would take care of Black Wolf. Otherwise he would not have stopped the 8 people just now. You're right. Respect should be placed in your heart, not your knees. Black Wolf, do you know your crime? Longao was very grateful to Tang Hao. Longao also finally confirmed that Tang Hao was definitely helping him. Vice Chief Tang, I don't know what crime I've committed. Impudent! Black Wolf, you killed Ting Li without permission. Isn't that a capital offense? Looking at the old man beside Tang Hao, Longao suddenly heard a subtle voice. It was Tang Hao's spiritual sense transmission. With Tang Hao's strength, he believed that Shangguan Ye and the other 8 people would not be able to hear him even if they were face to face. Otherwise, Tang Hao would not be so bold. Even though Tang Hao was the vice chief, he could not help Longao openly. Otherwise, he would become a topic of ridicule. Vice Chief Shangguan, I want to ask, who saw me kill Ting Li? Shangguaniye was one of the 8 vice chiefs of the Martial Artists Alliance. His strength was unfathomable. Longao instantly knew Shangguaniye's identity. He became more cautious. He also finally understood why this person had such a strong desire to kill him when he had just entered. It turned out that Shangguaniye was the ancestor of the Shangguan family. No wonder. Longao knew very well that if Shangguaniye wanted to deal with him, things would become very troublesome. Fortunately, he had Tang Hao to help him. Shangguaniye had to be careful. Otherwise, Shangguaniye would have killed him directly instead of talking nonsense with him. What a quibble! Black Wolf, there's no smoke without fire. Teng Li challenged you before, but you didn't accept the challenge because you were too timid. After that, Teng Li challenged you again and again. You were so angry that you plotted to kill Teng Li. Am I right? F***ck hearing Shangguaniye's analysis, Longao cursed in his heart. He had seen such a shameless person, but he had never seen such a shameless person. How could he make up such a story? Longao smiled. Black Wolf, why are you smiling? Vice Chief Shangguan, I want to ask, is what you said just now based on evidence or your guess? Of course it's my guess. Longao looked as if he had suddenly realized something. Without continuing to talk nonsense with Shangguaniye, Longao looked at Tang Hao and said, Vice Chief Tang, I have something to ask you. Tang Hao didn't say anything. He just smiled, but his meaning was very clear. If Shangguaniye asked Tang Hao, even Shangguaniye had no right to stop him, let alone the 8 of them. Vice Chief Tang, can you slander a disciple as you wish just because you're the Vice Chief of the Alliance? Or are we, the intersect disciples, just pawns that can be sacrificed casually in the eyes of the higher-ups like you? Longao's question was very sharp. Shangguaniye was instantly enraged because he had never expected that Black Wolf would still be so arrogant as if he was not afraid of death. Black Wolf, are you questioning my guess? Longao still chose to ignore Shangguaniye. The more Longao acted like this, the angrier Shangguaniye became. As the Vice Chief of the Alliance, when had he ever been ignored? Even the other Vice Chiefs wouldn't dare to act like this, let alone a small intersect disciple. If he didn't kill this person, how could he save his face? Shangguaniye's body instantly emitted an unparalleled aura, which suppressed He Lang fiercely. If it was an ordinary person, this aura alone was enough to crush an ordinary disciple to death, even if it was an orange-grade great sovereign martial artist. But what about Longao? He didn't care about the aura released by Shangguaniye. At this moment, Longao didn't continue to wait for his death. He also released his aura, but it was the aura of heaven and earth. Sensing He Lang's aura, the 10 of them stood up at the same time. Their faces were all the same, filled with shock and disbelief. It was as if they had encountered something earth-shattering. The aura of heaven and earth, Nirvana rebirth? Impossible, this is impossible. You can't have Nirvana rebirth. Shangguaniye shook his head and almost shouted. Even Tang Hao was in disbelief because the 10 of them knew what the aura of heaven and earth and Nirvana rebirth meant. How could a small orange-grade great emperor achieve this? But the truth was right in front of them. What was going on? Shangguaniye immediately retracted his aura and asked impatiently. Black Wolf, let me ask you now. How did you manage to release the aura of heaven and earth just now? I'd be an idiot if I told you. Longao didn't even bother to answer Shangguaniye. If it weren't for the fact that he was weaker than Shangguaniye and was in the Martial Artists Alliance, he would have already attacked. Chapter 948. Black Wolf, how did you do it? Tang Hao was completely different from Shangguaniye. Longao did not try to hide anything. He said, Alliance Master Tang, I saw a vision of heaven and earth by accident and was sucked into it. Longao's words were half true and half false. Even Tang Hao did not tell them everything. After listening, both Tang Hao and Shangguaniye nodded their heads. This was an opportunity that all warriors yearned for even in their dreams. Black Wolf, I'll ask you again. Did you kill Tumli? Shangguaniye was relieved that he was lucky enough to condense the chi of heaven and earth. As for the nirvana rebirth that the two of them had just mentioned, until now, Longao still did not know what it was. It seemed that the chi of heaven and earth he condensed was closely related to the nirvana rebirth. No. He would not admit it even if he was beaten to death. Longao was not a fool. He knew what it meant if he admitted it. Shangguaniye's intention was clear. She wanted to force him to admit it and deal with him. Shangguaniye could not do anything if Longao refused to admit it. Brother Shangguan, since Black Wolf said it was not him, I think there must be some misunderstanding. Why don't we discuss it further? Under normal circumstances, since Tang Hao had already spoken, Shangguaniye would more or less give him face. No matter what, they were both Deputy Alliance Masters. Even if they did not care about each other, they had to give face to each other. But now, Shangguaniye sneered and said coldly, if we don't punish such a lawless disciple on the spot, our martial artists' alliance will be laughed at. Men, take him down and kill him without mercy. Shangguaniye. Shangguaniye waved her hand and did not give Tang Hao any chance to speak. Her voice was extremely cold and murderous. She said, Tang Hao, you and I both know that this person must die today. Tang Hao already knew about the relationship between Shangguaniye and Black Wolf. Now that things had come to this point, even if it wasn't because of his granddaughter, he wouldn't let Shangguaniye kill He Lang. The 8 Deputy Alliance Masters of the Martial Artists Alliance all had their own ulterior motives. They fought openly and secretly to suppress each other. Tang Hao knew clearly that if Black Wolf was really killed by Shangguaniye, he would lose face. Wouldn't he tell everyone that he was afraid of Shangguaniye? Tang Hao could not let that happen. Shangguaniye, you can't kill He Lang before the investigation is completed. Tang Hao, are you clearly going against me? You can say whatever you want. Tang Hao and Shangguaniye were at loggerheads, and a fight could break out at any moment. This scared the 8 people on both sides, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't dare to offend Vice Alliance leader Shangguan, and they also didn't dare to offend Vice Alliance leader Tang. No matter who they offended, only death awaited them. As for Longao, he stood there quietly. As for the 2 Vice Alliance Masters, it was as if this matter had nothing to do with him. This caused the 8 of them to feel extremely pained. Longao knew very well that Tang Hao and Shangguaniye were not acting like this solely because of him. In the end, they both wanted to suppress each other. He was just a fuse. Now, it was time to see who could suppress who between Shangguaniye and Tang Hao. Longao knew that if Tang Hao suppressed Shangguaniye, he would be safe. But if Shangguaniye suppressed Tang Hao, he would be in big trouble. Why do the 2 of you have to be like this? Just as the 2 of them were about to fight, a hearty laugh was heard. Then, Tong Tiandi appeared in the main hall. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. When they saw Tong Tiandi, everyone bowed respectfully and shouted, Alliance Master. Tong Tiandi waved his hand. He always had a smile on his face. It was as if there was a knife hidden in his smile. All 8 of you leave? Yes. The 8 of them got up and left quickly. Tang Hao and Shangguaniye were already at daggers drawn. If they continued to stay, they would not be able to help either of them. Therefore, leaving was the best choice. Have a seat, Deputy Alliance Masters. Thank you, Alliance Master. Shangguaniye, who had been extremely arrogant just a moment ago, sat down obediently after seeing Tong Tiandi like a mouse seeing a cat. What the hell happened? Ever since Tong Tiandi entered the main hall, he did not look at Longao. It was as if he did not know him. As a result, Longao did not know what the Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance was thinking. Shangguaniye did not give Tang Hao any chance to speak. Alliance Master, Black Wolf killed Ting Li for no reason. According to the rules of the Alliance, Black Wolf should be executed on the spot. However, Deputy Alliance Master Tang has been siding with him. Deputy Alliance Master Tang, is this true? Tang Hao cursed in his heart. He replied calmly, Alliance Master, as far as I know, it is still unknown whether Black Wolf killed Ting Li or not. Isn't it too hasty to execute Black Wolf on the spot? Deputy Alliance Master Tang, you know very well what you are thinking. Tong Tiandi waved his hand and stopped the two Deputy Alliance Masters. He smiled and asked, Are you Black Wolf? Yes. Since Tong Tiandi did not know him, Longao chose not to know him either. He wanted to see what Tong Tiandi was up to. Not bad, not bad. Not bad? What did he mean by not bad? Hearing Tong Tiandi say, not bad, twice in a row, the two Deputy Alliance Masters, including Longao, were very curious. They did not know what Tong Tiandi meant. Alliance Master, how should we deal with Black Wolf? No matter if it was Shangguaniye or Tang Hao, they both knew that He Lang's life or death depended on the Alliance Master's decision. Because of this, the two of them became even more curious. Under normal circumstances, the Alliance Master would not interfere in this matter. This was because the Alliance Master had been cultivating in seclusion for so many years and rarely showed himself. However, he had now appeared for an insignificant inner sect disciple. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. Tong Tiandi did not say anything. He just sat quietly in his seat. No one knew what he was thinking. Tong Tiandi did not say anything. The two Deputy Alliance Masters did not say anything either. As for Longao, he did not say anything either. The entire hall was silent. Shangguaniye and Tang Hao were waiting for Tong Tiandi's orders. It was up to the Alliance Master to kill or keep Black Wolf alive. This also showed that Tong Tiandi's decision represented who the Alliance Master would side with. Alliance Master Shangguan, do you have any concrete evidence that Black Wolf killed Tingli? Hearing the Alliance Master's words, Shangguaniye's heart skipped a beat. She sighed inwardly. However, she still answered truthfully. Alliance Master, there is no concrete evidence yet. P.S. Some people say that Little Nine is updating for the monthly votes. Little Nine admits that the monthly votes are more motivating. However, it is not all about the monthly votes. Little Nine is angry and will explode tomorrow. I will show you that Little Nine is not doing this for the monthly votes, but for the brothers and sisters who support Little Nine. Chapter 949. Since there is no evidence, how can I execute Black Wolf on the spot? Shangguaniye felt helpless. No matter what, he had no evidence. However, at this moment, Leader, Executive Mei Kai wants to see you. Executive Mei. Executive Mei was a special person in the Martial Artists Alliance. Strictly speaking, Executive Mei did not belong to the Martial Artists Alliance. However, if the Martial Artists Alliance was in trouble, Executive Mei would have to protect it with his life. As an Executive Mei, he would get very little resources, but he had a lot of power. In other words, Mei Kai, as an Executive Mei, could leave the Martial Artists Alliance whenever he wanted. As for the others, they could not leave sometimes. Yes. Mei Kai pushed the door open and entered the hall. He knelt down on one knee and bowed respectfully. Executive Mei Kai is here to see the leader and the two vice leaders. Mei Kai, what's the matter? Seeing Mei Kai enter, Longao sighed in his heart. Something bad had happened. He had guessed that Mei Kai would definitely deal with him in the Martial Artists Alliance. However, he did not expect that Mei Kai would choose to enter at this moment. Without a doubt, Longao was almost certain that Mei Kai must have spread the news that he killed Tingli. What was Mei Kai's intention in entering the hall this time? Leader, I have evidence to prove that Black Wolf killed Tingli. Hearing this, Shangguaniye was overjoyed. Before the leader could say anything, he said impatiently, Mei Kai, what evidence do you have? Mei Kai did not do anything. No matter what, the leader was here. The two vice leaders had no right to speak. In other words, if the leader did not say anything, the two vice leaders could not make a decision. Say it. Mei Kai nodded. He wished he could kill Longao. He took out a mirror from his chest. Mei Kai's aura burst out and entered the mirror directly. What happened next? The battle between Longao and Tingli, including the final scene where Tingli was killed by Longao, was shown in the mirror one by one, as if it was a TV drama. Without any suspense, Longao could almost guess that the mirror that Mei Kai took out should be no small matter. After all, it could record past scenes. Alliance Master, Tingli was indeed killed by Black Wolf. Alliance Master, Black Wolf killed Tingli. The evidence is conclusive. Should we kill him? Both Shangguaniye and Mei Kai seemed to be a little anxious. However, in their opinion, things had already come to this point. Even if Tang Hao wanted to side with Black Wolf, it was impossible. Black Wolf, I really want to know what happened between you and Tingli. The three of them didn't seem to have expected the Alliance Master's attitude. Especially Shangguaniye and Mei Kai. Under normal circumstances, with conclusive evidence, Black Wolf would definitely be killed. However, the Alliance Master still wanted to ask if the Alliance Master was biased towards Black Wolf. This didn't seem to be possible. Alliance Master, ever since I joined the Alliance, Tingli has been causing trouble for me time and time again. I'm a hot-blooded young man. After being provoked like this, of course I wouldn't sit still and wait for my death. Then you shouldn't have killed Black Wolf. You're still quibbling. Alliance Master, I've already given Tingli many chances, but he was like a mad dog. He wouldn't let me go. In the end, I had no choice but to kill him. Otherwise, the one who would die in the end would be me and not Tingli. Seeing that Black Wolf ignored him, Shangguaniye could only stare at the young man in front of him angrily. With the Alliance Master present, even if he had 10,000 guts, he wouldn't dare to act rashly. Even if he was the Vice Alliance Master, he wouldn't be able to withstand the Alliance Master's anger. After hearing what Shangguaniye said, Tong Tiandi nodded his head and said, "That's understandable. Tung Li was courting death. You can't be blamed. Black Wolf, from now on, you're officially a core disciple of the Alliance. You can also participate in the Burning God region. Alliance Master, you can't do this." Hearing the Alliance Master's decision, Shangguaniye was shocked. Even if he was beaten to death, he would never have thought that the Alliance Master would be biased towards Black Wolf. What was the meaning of this? The Alliance Master clearly knew that he wanted to kill Black Wolf. Why did he still do this? Did the Alliance Master intend to do this? I've already said it. Alliance Master Shangguan, please leave first. Glaring at Black Wolf in front of him, Shangguaniye's heart was filled with anger. However, since the Alliance Master had already spoken, he could only leave. Black Wolf, I'll kill you! Not only Shangguaniye, but even Mei Kai also left. The two of them were completely depressed. They never thought that things would end up like this. The two of them originally thought that Longao would definitely be executed by the Alliance for killing Tingli. However, in the end, not only was Longao not killed, he even had the opportunity to enter the Burning God region. Both of them were well aware of what the Burning Heaven Divine region represented. Outside the main hall, Alliance Master Tang, we didn't manage to kill Black Wolf this time. What should we do next? Mei Kai's little mouse had been captured by the other party, and he wished he could immediately get it back. However, Mei Kai was very clear that if Tingli could be killed by He Lang, then even if it was him, he would probably not be a match for He Lang. Until now, Mei Kai still couldn't believe that Black Wolf was a mere illusionary divine martial artist. In just a few months, Black Wolf had become a peak orange grade great emperor. This cultivation speed was too fast. It was so fast that it was terrifying. Shangguaniye's expression was extremely ugly. The Alliance Master's decision to side with Black Wolf was like a slap to his face. As the Deputy Alliance Master, he had completely lost his face this time. However, what could he do now that the Alliance Master was here personally? This time, He Lang has won. With the Alliance Master's decision, we can't deal with this brat openly. However, He Lang will enter the Burning Heaven Divine region later. This is our chance. No matter what happens, we must kill this brat in the Burning Heaven Divine region. Alliance Master Tang, there are only 100 slots for the Burning God region every year. It won't be easy for us to let our own people enter the Burning God region. After all, Meikai also wanted to enter the Burning God region. However, he knew that with his status, it would be difficult for him to enter. However, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as Deputy Alliance Master Tang agreed, he would be able to obtain 1 slot out of the 100 slots. Shang Guanyi started to ponder. After thinking for a while, he said, I can obtain 10 slots out of the 100 slots. I don't believe that I can't kill Black Wolf in the Burning God region this time. Deputy Alliance Master Tang, I also want to enter the Burning God region. I can guarantee that I will bring Black Wolf's head to you. Sure. However, let's make things clear first. If you can't kill Black Wolf, you will have to bring your own head back to me. Meikai clenched his fists tightly. He told himself that he could only win this time and not lose. P.S. Depending on my performance tomorrow, I will silence the person who started this rumor. Chapter 950. Inside the main hall. Thank you, Alliance Master. Thank you, Vice Alliance Master. Longao knew that Tong Tiandi was obviously siding with him this time. Black Wolf, do you know what kind of place the Burning Sky God domain is? Longao shook his head. He was really curious about the Burning Sky God domain that Tong Tiandi had mentioned. Then, Tang Hao explained to Longao about the Burning Sky God domain. So that's how it is. The Burning Sky God domain was a mysterious place. It was also one of the forbidden areas of the Martial Artists Alliance. Just like the Water Moon Paradise, no one was allowed to enter the Burning Sky God domain without the orders of the Alliance Master or the Alliance. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. The Burning Sky God domain would open every year. Every time it opened, only 100 people could enter. The Martial Artists Alliance had millions of disciples. One could imagine how precious 100 people were. To martial artists, the Burning Sky God domain was a cultivation sacred emperor. Every time one entered, they could stay for a month. As for whether they could find any opportunities, it would depend on their luck. Black Wolf, there are 6 Desolation Divine Thrones in the Burning Sky God domain. If you have the chance to sit on them and sense them, you will get what you want. 6 Desolation Divine Thrones? Although Tang Hao was famous, Longao had already sensed the meaning behind his words. It seemed that the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones were not simple. If he entered the Burning Sky God domain, he must pay more attention to the so-called 6 Desolation Divine Thrones. Black Wolf, there are a total of 100 people entering the Burning Sky God domain every year. The lowest cultivation must be at the Great Emperor realm. He was a little surprised. This condition was a little too harsh. In other words, if one wanted to enter the Burning Heaven Divine region, only core disciples could enter. According to Tang Hao, the 100 spots to enter the Sky Burning Divine region were divided into red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, and white ranks. Among them, there could be 10 golden Great Emperors and titled Great Emperors in total. Black Wolf, I hope you can gain something in the Burning Sky God domain. I will. Since that's the case, you can leave first. Longao didn't stay there. He was lucky that he wasn't killed by Meikai and Shang Guanyi this time. All of this was thanks to Tang Hao and Tong Tiandi. Looking at Black Wolf, who had already left, Tong Tiandi asked, Tang Hao, you're intentionally siding with Black Wolf this time. Just what is it for? Tong Tiandi was not a fool. As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, he could be said to be an old fox. How could he not see that Tang Hao was intentionally siding with Black Wolf? Since things had come to this point, Tang Hao did not hide anything. He nodded and told them about the relationship between Black Wolf and his granddaughter. After hearing this, Tong Tiandi had a look of sudden realization. Tang Hao, you are mine. There are no secrets between us. Tang Hao smiled. This was because the entire Martial Artists Alliance did not know that he was actually the leader's man. He had followed the leader for 100 years and could be considered a blood relation. Alliance leader, you allowed Black Wolf to enter the Burning Sky God domain this time. If Shangguan Ye chooses to deal with him at this time, I'm afraid that Black Wolf's situation will be very dangerous. Tong Tiandi nodded. How could he not know about this? Growing in adversity, rising in slaughter. I want to see how Black Wolf will be able to leave the Burning Sky God domain alive. If he can't even endure this little bit of training. Tong Tiandi did not continue speaking. As for the meaning behind his words, perhaps only Tang Hao could understand. Alliance leader, just now, Black Wolf's body suddenly erupted with the aura of heaven and earth. It blocked Shangguan Ye's aura suppression. What happened? He seemed to be very surprised. This was because even Tong Tiandi knew very well what the aura of heaven and earth meant. No matter what, Black Wolf was still an orange-grade great emperor. It was impossible for him to possess the aura of heaven and earth. Not to mention great emperors, even divine Dao martial artists could not condense the aura of heaven and earth. Tang Hao narrated what had just happened in full detail. Before he finished, he said, Alliance leader, under normal circumstances, unless one is reborn from nirvana, it is impossible to condense the aura of heaven and earth. However, there are some geniuses who can condense the aura of heaven and earth in advance. Tang Hao, some people can condense the aura of heaven and earth in advance. Do you know what this means? Possessing the aura of heaven and earth can block the aura suppression of high-level martial artists. The aura of heaven and earth was one of the most terrifying forces in the world. Tang Hao had just witnessed an orange-grade great emperor using the aura of heaven and earth to block Shangguan Ye's aura suppression. This already explained everything. You don't know. Seeing the alliance leader smile, Tang Hao was very curious. He could not think of any other use for the aura of heaven and earth other than blocking the aura suppression of high-level martial artists. Aura of heaven and earth condense, nirvana rebirth set. Aura of heaven and earth condense, nirvana rebirth set? What did this mean? Tang Hao asked curiously. Alliance leader, what do you mean by these two sentences? Tang Hao was very clear about the alliance leader's strength. It was unfathomable. As for what realm the alliance leader had reached, even he could not sense it. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Aura of heaven and earth condense, nirvana rebirth set. Tong Tiandi sighed and said, I also did not expect Black Wolf to be able to condense the aura of heaven and earth as an orange-grade great emperor. This in itself is already certain that Black Wolf will be able to achieve nirvana rebirth in the future. Hearing the alliance leader's words, Tang Hao was shocked. He was very clear about what nirvana rebirth meant. Alliance leader, can Black Wolf really reach that stage? Aura of heaven and earth condense, nirvana rebirth set. If it has been passed down for countless years, there shouldn't be any problems. Therefore, no matter what happens, we have to protect this child. Tong Tiandi was clearly a little surprised. This was because he did not expect Longao to be able to condense the aura of heaven and earth. No wonder Long Ditian valued this child so much. It seemed like there was no smoke without fire. We are unable to control the burning divine region. However, don't worry, Alliance leader. I will arrange for my own people to enter. However, I'm afraid that it will be somewhat impossible for Black Wolf to obtain the Desolation Divine Throne. Tong Tiandi did not say anything. There were too many variables in everything. Even if Black Wolf's talent and potential were there, he did not dare to be certain. However, Tong Tiandi was certain of one thing. From now on, he would properly train Longao. Tong Tiandi's intention was very simple. He wanted to keep Longao in the Martial Artists Alliance forever. As for the agreement with Long Ditian, Tong Tiandi did not take it to heart. The entire Great Hall was silent. Alliance leader Tong Tiandi and Vice Alliance leader Tang Hao did not speak. The two of them sat quietly in the Great Hall. No one knew what the two of them were thinking. The news of Black Wolf killing Tingli but not being executed instantly spread throughout the Martial Artists Alliance. Everyone who received the news was shocked. They did not know what the Alliance was up to this time. P.S. today's 3 chapters have been delivered. Little 9 will stay up late tonight, and will continue to update after midnight. Chapter 951. As soon as Longao left the hall, he ran into Shangguaniye and Mei Kai. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes blaze with hatred. Neither of them found the other pleasing to the eye. He snorted coldly. Shangguaniye said coldly, "Black Wolf, don't think that you won't die just because the Alliance Master sided with you." Before Longao could say anything, Shangguaniye continued, "In the burning sky divine region, I'll make you wish you were dead." Shangguaniye dropped her threat and immediately turned to leave. Mei Kai naturally wouldn't choose to stay behind by himself. In fact, Mei Kai was more or less afraid of Black Wolf. After all, if Black Wolf could kill Tengli, he could kill him as well. It was fine to kill Tengli, but it was also fine to kill him. Shangguaniye. Looking at the 2 people who were gradually disappearing, Longao's expression was a bit grave. Because of Shangguaniye's status, casually finding some of his own people to enter the burning heaven divine region was simply an easy matter. According to Tang Hao, only martial emperors could enter the burning sky divine region. Even so, he was still in constant danger. The burning sky divine region was filled with danger, but it was also filled with endless opportunities. To Longao, the burning sky divine region was definitely a good place to cultivate and gain experience. That was indeed the case. Longao had already decided to enter the burning sky divine region to gain experience. After leaving, he would look for Yuan. "Black Wolf, come with me." At this moment, Longao heard Tang Hao calling for him. He was a little curious. However, Tang Hao had helped him just now. Otherwise, Shangguaniye would have already dealt with him before Tong Tiandi came. He followed Tang Hao all the way south and arrived at a secluded pavilion. After entering the pavilion, Tang Hao smiled and said, "Sit." "Thank you, Uncle Tang." Just now in the main hall, in front of Shangguaniye, Longao naturally wouldn't call Tang Hao uncle. After all, it was best to keep his relationship with Tang Hao a secret. Longao could tell that Shangguaniye and Tang Hao were not on good terms. They were like fire and water. "Black Wolf, you've really surprised me. In just a few short months, you've made another breakthrough in your cultivation. Not only that, you've even condensed the chi of heaven and earth." Longao smiled but didn't say anything. "Black Wolf, do you know what the guild master said to me just now? Please tell me, Uncle Tang." Longao was very curious because he had already guessed that what the Alliance Master said to Tang Hao must have something to do with him. Because of this, he was very much looking forward to it. He didn't know what the Alliance Master said to Tang Hao. Tang Hao smiled. He had a mysterious look on his face. The more Tang Hao behaved like this, the more curious Longao was. He felt depressed but maintained an indifferent expression on his face. "The Alliance Master said to me that the chi of heaven and earth had condensed and the nirvana rebirth had been fixed." The chi of heaven and earth had condensed and the nirvana rebirth had been fixed? Hearing Tang Hao's 2 sentences, Longao was a little curious. He could still understand the first sentence. Heaven and earth chi condense. But as for the second sentence, nirvana rebirth, he was confused. He didn't know what it meant. The chi of heaven and earth had condensed. If he wasn't wrong, it should be referring to the chi of heaven and earth that he had condensed. "Uncle Tang, what do these 2 sentences mean?" With a look of envy on his face, Tang Hao smiled and said, "Black Wolf, before I explain these 2 sentences, I want to ask you. Do you know the division of martial artist strength?" Longao was getting more and more curious. He didn't know why Tang Hao asked this question, but he still nodded and replied, "Yes. The division of martial artist strength is divided into the acquired realm, Scientian realm, transformation realm, nihility realm, illusionary divine realm, great emperor realm, half-god realm, divine realm, supreme divine realm, and the 9 realms of martial Tao." "You're right. In the eyes of ordinary people, the Supreme Divine Realm is already the peak of martial artists. However, I believe you should know that there's a Supreme Divine Realm above the Supreme Divine Realm. Longao certainly knew about this. Could it be that one had to break through to the Supreme Divine Realm to be able to condense the chi of heaven and earth? Hey Lang, I can now clearly tell you that on the path of martial arts, the Supreme Divine Way is not the peak of martial arts. Longao also knew about this, so he wasn't surprised. Above the Supreme Divine Realm, there were the Heaven Tao and the Divine Mathematician. In the entire Tianwu continent, only the Divine Mathematician and the Heaven Tao had reached the true peak of martial arts. Seeing that Black Wolf didn't say anything, Tang Hao thought that Black Wolf was frightened by his words. However, he felt relieved after thinking about it. After all, no matter who it was, as long as they heard such words, they would be shocked speechless. In the 10 Directions tripod competition, even the inner disciples would think that on the path of martial arts, only the Supreme Divine Way was the true peak existence, and not the so-called Supreme Divine Way martial artists. There's a legendary realm above the Supreme Divine Realm. According to the legends, only by breaking through to this realm can one be considered to have truly stepped onto the peak of martial arts. Uncle Tang, this realm is Nirvana Rebirth? Seeing that Tang Hao nodded, Longao wasn't as surprised as he had imagined. Ever since he had inadvertently condensed the chi of heaven and earth, Longao had heard the words Nirvana Rebirth from many people. Therefore, Longao had already guessed that the realm above the Supreme Divine Realm that Tang Hao had just mentioned was very likely the so-called Nirvana Rebirth realm. It seems that you've already guessed it. Black Wolf, I can now tell you clearly that the realm above the Supreme Divine Realm is the so-called Nirvana Realm. The Nirvana Realm was a legendary existence. Longao could even guess that the Oracle and Tian Dao had definitely reached the Nirvana Realm. Uncle Tang, if that's the case, can I understand that the chi of heaven and earth that I condensed is the powerful chi of heaven and earth possessed by a Nirvana Realm martial artist? Just as you guessed, the meaning of the 2 sentences that the Alliance Chief said about condensing the chi of heaven and earth and Nirvana Rebirth is very simple. As long as there are no accidents, any martial artist who can condense the chi of heaven and earth will definitely reach the Nirvana Realm in the future. Nodding his head, Longao also understood the meaning of these 2 sentences. However, he was very clear that even if it was like this, wanting to smoothly reach the Nirvana Realm was not a simple matter. Because there were too many variables in this process, no one knew what would happen in the future. Black Wolf, the Nirvana Realm is a legendary existence. I really hope that you can reach that step. Could he reach the Nirvana Realm? Longao didn't dare to be sure. His heart seemed to be in a mess as he helplessly said, Uncle Tang, I really want to hear about the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones in the Burning Sky Divine Region. I believe that Uncle Tang also knows that I entered the Burning Sky Divine Region this time to find the Desolation Divine Thrones, aside from gaining experience. However, I don't have the slightest understanding of the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones. P.S. Explosive First Chapter. Chapter 952. Longao was looking forward to the Desolation Divine Throne. As for the Nirvana Realm, Longao was really conflicted. Ever since he got the Dragon Seal and changed his destiny, Longao had slowly risen. Facing the mountains, Longao didn't dare to stop. Every time he advanced to the next realm, he didn't stop to rest. However, every time Longao thought that he was about to reach the peak of martial arts, he helplessly found that a new mountain would appear in front of him. The Divine Realm at the beginning, the Supreme Divine Realm, and now the Nirvana Realm. Longao even wondered when it would end. Black Wolf, the Burning Divine Realm was personally discovered by the old ancestor. He also discovered the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones inside. Longao didn't say anything. He just listened quietly. After so many years of exploration, we gradually learned about the Burning Divine Realm and the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones. Longao still didn't say anything. Black Wolf, Each of the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones has a very powerful martial skill and even mysterious power. Everyone has different opportunities. I can't say for sure. Tang Hao also felt a little emotional. He continued, Black Wolf, after you enter the burning divine realm, you must be careful. This time, Shengguaniye didn't succeed. I believe that the burning divine realm won't miss this opportunity. I know. Longao was very afraid of Shengguaniye. From the beginning to the end, he couldn't sense Shengguaniye's true strength. Without a doubt. Longao could almost be sure. He didn't even need to ask Tang Hao. He could be sure that whether it was Tang Hao, Shengguaniye, or the other 6 Deputy Alliance Masters, they were all Supreme Divine Realm martial artists. Tang Hao just said that the Nirvana realm was a legendary existence. In the entire Tianwu continent, there were only 2 people who could reach this realm. One was the godly mathematician, and the other was the heavenly Tao. Other than the Nirvana realm, the Supreme Divine Realm was the peak existence. That was why Longao was amazed by the strength and background of the Martial Artists Alliance. If the Deputy Chief was a Supreme Tao martial artist, then there was no doubt that the Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiandi, was also a Supreme Tao martial artist. If there were no other Supreme Divine Path martial artists, it meant that there were 9 Supreme Divine Path martial artists in the entire Warrior Alliance. The Tripod of 10 Directions. Longao knew that the 10 great super forces of the 10 directions had almost the same foundation and strength. In other words, not counting the other Supreme Divine Path martial artists, just the 10 Supreme Divine Path martial artists alone, there were at least 90 of them. What kind of concept was this? Longao did not continue to dwell on this issue. He bade farewell to Tang Hao and prepared to use this time to stabilize his cultivation. Inside the pavilion. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, Tang Hao muttered to himself, I hope you don't disappoint me. Don't disappoint the Alliance leader. After entering the Aquamoon Heavenly Abode, Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the peak of the Orange-Grade Great Emperor realm. Longao had full confidence that if he could refine all the essence of heaven and earth in his body and successfully integrate it, it would not be difficult for him to break through to the Supreme Divine Path. However, refining all the essence of heaven and earth was not an easy task. According to Tang Hao, there were still 10 days before the opening of the Burning God domain. Taking advantage of these 10 days, Longao prepared to stabilize his cultivation. The Burning God domain was full of danger. If he was not careful, he would not be able to come out alive. At night, the 9 stars in the sky shone on the entire land. Longao, who was sitting on the ground, suddenly heard Bai Ling's voice. He asked curiously, Bai Ling, what happened? Young Master Long, quickly leave here. My sister is here. Bai Ling was a little impatient. She was always so kind. Hearing this, Longao was shocked. Longao was very afraid of Xiling. He originally thought that he could completely get rid of Xiling with the help of the 9-headed Emperor Dragon. However, he never thought that Xiling would find him in the end. He originally thought that after entering the Martial Artists Alliance this time, even if Xiling could still lock onto his aura, he would definitely not dare to enter the Martial Artists Alliance. No matter what, Xiling was still a Jianling. The Martial Artists Alliance was full of experts. Once Xiling entered, wouldn't he be like a lamb in a tiger's den? However, countless people wanted to devour Xiling so that they could quickly break through to the next realm. Whether Xiling was afraid of the Martial Artists Alliance or not, Longao knew that he could not be found by Xiling. Otherwise, he would definitely die. He did not enter the Dragon Seal space. Ever since entering the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao almost never entered the Dragon Seal space. The reason was simple. There were many experts in the Martial Artists Alliance. If he was unlucky and someone sensed the aura of the Dragon Seal space, not only himself, but also Long Fu would be in big trouble. Longao used spatial teleportation and instantly disappeared from the spot. After a few spatial teleportations, Longao had already left his residence and shot towards the barren mountain where he had fought with Tengli. at the peak of the barren mountain. Longao had just arrived and was thinking of a way to escape this disaster. However, at this moment, Xiling's figure suddenly appeared with a cold smile on his face. His body emitted waves of cold aura as if he was extremely angry. As the strongest Jianling, he was played by a small human warrior. Xiling was very angry. "Kid, you really don't know what's good for you. I'll give you the best chance. Hand over my sister, and I'll let you die a quick death." It was an ultimatum. Xiling's patience had reached its limit. If it weren't for the fact that his sister was still in the hands of his opponent, Xiling would have already attacked without saying a word. How could Longao not know about this? "Xiling, I've already said that I have no ill intentions towards Bai Ling. What happened before was an accident. Once I have a way, I'll definitely let Bai Ling go. From now on, let's forget about the grudge between us." "How about that?" "Forget about it?" Xiling sneered. "Kid, you don't have the right to bargain with me. Since you're not willing to let my sister go, I can only choose to kill you first. However, you don't have the slightest chance because I've already decided to tear you apart." Hearing Xiling's words, Longao's heart thumped. He could clearly sense that Xiling had the intention to kill him. Longao had already decided that if he had no other choice, he would forcefully enter the Dragon Seal's space even if he had to risk the Dragon Seal being discovered. At this moment, he couldn't care about anything else. After all, his life was the most important. However, just as Longao was about to enter the Dragon Seal's space, a powerful and terrifying aura instantly suppressed him. Chapter 953. Tong Tiendi. Longao already knew who had arrived. It was Tong Tiendi, the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance. Not only him, but 8 other figures had also arrived. Longao didn't even need to guess to know who these 8 people were. The 8 vice leaders were the 8 people with the most real power in the Martial Arts Alliance other than the leader. 9 Supreme Tao warriors had arrived in person. It seemed that the Martial Artists Alliance was very afraid of Xiling. It was hard to believe. "Jianling? Get out of my way, or I'll kill you all." Xiling's voice was extremely cold, as if it came from hell. This was the confidence that came from having great strength. Tong Tiendi and the 8 deputy leaders, including Shangguan Ye and Tang Hao, all looked a little pale. Longao looked at the 2 parties facing each other, and was very shocked in his heart. From the faces of the 9 people, it could be seen that Heavenly Emperor Tong's 9 people seemed to be very wary of Purple Spirit. One could imagine just how powerful Purple Spirit's strength was. "How dare you break into the Martial Artists Alliance? No matter who you are, you can't leave today." Imperceptibly, Tong Tiendi's group of 9 had already surrounded Violet Spirit, fighting 1 against 9. If Violet Spirit was at her peak, perhaps she wouldn't be afraid. But now, Xiling was obviously not at his peak. It would not be easy for him to fight 9 people alone. The battle was about to start. Tong Tiendi waved his hand and said, "As long as you stay in the Martial Artists Alliance, I can guarantee that I won't hurt you. What do you think? You think you can do that?" Without giving the 9 people any chance to speak, Xiling suddenly turned into streaks of purple light and chose to take the initiative to attack. The battle began. In the end, Xiling still chose to fight 1 against 9. He fought against Tong Tiendi's 9 people at the same time. Both sides had just started fighting, and their auras had already dispersed. Longao stuck out his tongue. What a terrifying battle! He didn't dare to stay any longer. Longao was very clear in his heart that with his current strength, it was impossible for him to participate in a battle of this level. He ran away. Longao made use of spatial teleportation, his body disappearing in an instant. If it was an ordinary martial artist, even if it was a divine Tao martial artist here, they would most likely not be able to withstand such a terrifying aura suppression. Xiling was proud and arrogant. He thought that he could defeat the combined attack of the 9 powerhouses by himself. In the end, Xiling was wrong. However, Tong Tiandi's group of 9 did not leave Xiling behind. In the main hall, Tong Tiandi and the 8 Vice Alliance Masters were all present. Longao stood alone in the center like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Under the eaves, one had no choice but to lower one's head. Black Wolf, let me ask you now. What's the deal with the Jianling that chased after you just now? Among the 8 Vice Alliance Masters, there was only one person who could not get along with Longao, and that was Shangguaniye. For a long time, Shangguaniye had wanted to kill Longao. However, with Tang Hao and Tong Tiandi's favoritism, it was difficult for a Vice Alliance Master to kill an insignificant intersect disciple. Shangguaniye was extremely depressed. However, regardless of whether it was the other 7 Vice Alliance Masters or the Alliance Master Tong Tiandi, they all seemed to be very concerned about Xiling. Therefore, in the face of Shangguaniye's interrogation, the other 8 people did not utter a word. Even Tang Hao was the same. Alliance Master, I only know that the Jianling that you were fighting just now is called Xiling. As for why she wanted to kill me, I really don't know. Longao chose to ignore Shangguaniye. The more he did so, the angrier Shangguaniye became. However, since the Alliance Master was here, he could only keep his anger to himself. After all, he was the Vice Alliance Master, and could not hide the truth from the masses. Black Wolf, don't talk nonsense here. Don't you know? Don't you know why the Jianling wanted to kill you? After our discussion, we decided that the Jianling had trespassed on the Martial Artists Alliance's territory. She must be arrested. Otherwise, how can the Martial Artists Alliance maintain its dignity? Longao still chose to ignore Shangguaniye. He said to Tong Tiandi, Alliance Master, I still say the same thing. I really don't know anything about Xiling. What can you do to me if I don't know? Tong Tiandi waved his hand to stop Shangguaniye from continuing. Finally, he said, Black Wolf, you really don't know Xiling? I don't know if that counts as knowing her. Longao's answer made people feel helpless. Black Wolf, as a disciple of the Martial Artists Alliance, there is something that the Alliance needs your help with. What do you think? Could he refuse? Longao knew very well that if he refused, even the Alliance Master, Tong Tiandi, and the Vice Alliance Master, Tang Hao, would not help him. Please tell me, Alliance Master. As long as it is something that I can do, I will not refuse, no matter if it is a mountain of swords or a sea of fire. Very good. Tong Tiandi seemed to be very satisfied. He said, Jianling, who just escaped, is very helpful to the Martial Artists Alliance. Therefore, you can use the identity of a bait to lure Jianling into the Martial Artists Alliance. In an instant, Longao understood the Alliance Master's intention. It was also the intention of the Martial Artists Alliance. Jianling was useful to the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao was not an idiot. Of course, he knew that the 9 people in front of him were tempted. After all, with Xiling's status and strength, once the 9 people devoured him, his strength would increase tremendously. It seemed that Xiling's strength was not as strong as the 9 people. However, Longao knew very well that once Xiling recovered to his peak, he would have no problem fighting the 9 of them alone. Although he did not see eye to eye with Xiling, Longao was definitely not willing to let the Martial Artists Alliance deal with Xiling. After all, Xiling was Bai Ling's sister. As the saying goes, even if you don't look at the monk, you still have to look at the Buddha. Alliance Master, I agree. Even if there were 10,000 unwillingness in his heart, Longao still agreed. Because he was certain that Purple Spirit had been severely injured by the 9 great experts this time. Unless water had entered his head, or his head had been kicked by a donkey, he believed that he would not return, even if he himself was the bait. Okay, 10 days. If the Jianling does not appear in 10 days, you will enter the Burning God realm. Longao left, but Shanghaiye said, Alliance Master, this Jianling is very strong, and he is not at his peak. If the Martial Artists Alliance can obtain this Jianling, I believe it will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Martial Artists Alliance. Alliance Master Black Wolf is the Jianling. Once the Black Wolf appears, I am worried that something will happen to Black Wolf. Tang Hao, you're worrying too much. The grudge between them had already been established, so Shanghai Ye did not show any mercy to Tang Hao. Shanghai Ye, no matter what, Black Wolf is still a disciple of the Alliance. Do you think that we can casually sacrifice a disciple of the Alliance just because we obtained the Jianling? If we really do that, our alliance will definitely be criticized by others. Shanghai Ye was prepared to sacrifice Black Wolf, but Tang Hao was trying his best to protect Black Wolf. The other 6 Vice Alliance Masters, including the Alliance Master, were well aware of the hostility between the 2 Vice Alliance Masters. P.S. The 3rd chapter arrived first. Looking at the time, it is already 2 o'clock. Xiao Jiu should go to sleep first. Tomorrow, he will continue to update. Chapter 954. 10 days. After saying this, Tong Tiandi's body had already silently disappeared from the spot. The other 6 deputy leaders looked at each other and left the hall as well. There were only 2 people left in the hall. One was Shang Guanyi, and the other was Tang Hao. He snorted coldly. Tang Hao, you and I have always minded our own business. Why did you choose to go against me this time? Do you have nothing better to do? Shang Guanyi still couldn't figure out why Tang Hao would always go against him for an inner disciple. They were both deputy leaders, and their relationship had always been strange. Tang Hao snorted coldly as well. Shang Guanyi, I'm telling you clearly now. Don't hurt Black Wolf. Otherwise, we'll fight until one of us dies. Fight until one of us dies. Tang Hao had already made his attitude clear. Hearing those words, Shang Guanyi's expression became even more gloomy. However, no matter if it was Tang Hao's status or strength, they were all there. Even if it was Shang Guanyi, before he had absolute confidence, he would not dare to casually make a move. Looks like you're determined to go against me. So what if I am? Well, let's wait and see. Shang Guanyi and Tang Hao parted on bad terms. After everyone had left, the hall was suddenly filled with eerie laughter. It was extremely terrifying. They left the hall. Longao found a secluded pavilion and sat down temporarily. Longao didn't know how to deal with the aftermath of what had happened. After all, Xiling's identity was special. However, no matter what happened, he couldn't let the Martial Artists Alliance hurt Xiling. He had promised Bai Ling that no matter when, no matter where, he wouldn't hurt Xiling. Although he didn't hurt Xiling this time, Xiling did it because of him. Otherwise, Xiling wouldn't have joined the Martial Artists Alliance. Young Master Long, I beg you, please save my sister. Bai Ling, what's wrong? Just now, my big sister was seriously injured by the 9 of them. Right now, her life is hanging by a thread. If young Master Long doesn't save her in time, my big sister will probably disappear from this world. Hearing Bai Ling's words, Longao was shocked. However, Longao did not leave immediately. He was almost certain that his current actions had already been tracked by the Martial Artists Alliance. If he were to rush over, not only would he not be able to save Xiling, he might even harm Xiling. What should he do? After pondering for a while, Longao finally came up with a solution, and that was the golden silkworm shedding its shell. Longao made use of teleportation and created a fake version of himself with the exact same aura as himself. He left the Martial Artists Alliance smoothly. According to Bai Ling's instructions, Longao found Xiling, who was heavily injured and on the verge of death, beside an extremely remote garbage dump in the Imperial City. Kid, you're courting death. If it was the previous Xiling, he might have been able to easily eliminate Longao. However, now, not to mention Longao, even a random warrior could easily take care of Xiling. Xiling, let's put aside our grudges for now. For Bai Ling's sake, I'll temporarily stop being your enemy and become your friend. You don't want to die here either. It's up to you to decide whether to save him or not. Xiling's body was on the verge of collapse and his face was extremely pale. He could disappear at any time. At this moment, Bai Ling suddenly appeared and looked at her big sister in horror. She begged, "Big sister, I beg you. Please let young Master Long help you. He's not a bad person. Big sister, it's too late." This was really dramatic. Just a moment ago, she was still chasing after this person. However, in just a few hours, the situation had completely reversed. Now she was going to be saved by him. However, things had already reached this point. She had no other choice. Nodding, Longao's heart was instantly filled with joy. He immediately picked up Xiling's body and without caring whether Xiling was willing or not, he directly shot into the distance. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared without a trace. It was the first time Xiling was hugged by a man like this. Other than anger, there seemed to be something else in his heart. In a barren mountain cave far away from the imperial city, gently putting down Xiling, Longao directly asked, "What should I do now?" Xiling didn't speak. Bai Ling continued to appear. "Young Master Long, Big Sister's injuries are very serious. She has an old injury and a heart injury. She must quickly suppress it. Otherwise, Big Sister will be in trouble." Xiling still didn't speak. In other words, what Bai Ling said was true. Of course, Longao knew that Xiling's injuries weren't light. However, the problem now was that he didn't know what to do. No matter what, Xiling was still a Jianling. This was his first time treating a Jianling's injuries. He had no experience at all. "Bai Ling, tell me directly. What should I do?" "Young Master Long, there is a way to suppress Big Sister's injuries in the shortest amount of time. It can even help Big Sister recover." "What way?" Xiling seemed to have guessed something, but Bai Ling had already said, "Young Master Long, I've sensed your body before. No matter if it's your aura or your bloodline, they are all precious healing treasures. Therefore, Bai Ling sincerely hopes that young Master Long can use your aura and bloodline to help Big Sister recover." Hearing Bai Ling's words, Longao was shocked. Of course, he knew what Bai Ling meant. Whether it was his aura or bloodline, once he gave it to Xiling, what would he do? If it were anyone else who asked this, Longao would definitely reject without even thinking about it. However, it was Bai Ling who was begging him. Even if Longao was extremely unwilling, he still nodded in the end. Just as Longao was about to move, Bai Ling said, "Young Master Long, wait a moment." Xiling was already unconscious and could disappear from this world at any moment. "Bai Ling, what's wrong?" "Young Master Long, normal methods won't work. My sister and I are both Jianling. Moreover, your body and bloodline are very different. If you want to succeed, there's only one way." Longao did not interrupt, because he also knew that the current situation was really a matter of life and death. If he was even the slightest bit slower, the purple spirit's life would be in danger. The 9 top exponents were indeed extraordinary. Even with the sword spirit's valiant power, he had almost died under the siege of the 9 people. "Young Master Long, although I know that this is a little difficult for you, I really don't have any other way. Bai Ling, things have already come to this point. If there's any way, just say it. As long as it's within my power, I'll definitely do it." Longao was very curious. He didn't know what Bai Ling's method was. It seemed like it was hard to say. "Young Master Long, if you want to succeed, you and Big Sister need to take off your clothes and be close to each other. This way, your aura and bloodline can interact better." Chapter 955. After hearing Bai Ling's idea, even Longao couldn't take it. It was too wild. "Bai Ling, is there no other way?" Other than Yuyin and Aoshue, Longao couldn't do this with other women. After all, Longao was a very conservative man. However, Bai Ling shook her head and sighed helplessly. "Young Master Long, as for this idea, I'll leave it to you, young Master Long." Looking at Xiling, who was lying on the ground on the verge of death and could disappear at any time, in the end, Longao sighed deeply. As the saying goes, saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Moreover, with Bai Ling's request, Longao couldn't bear to be cruel. He didn't have any evil thoughts in his heart, so what was there to be afraid of? Longao was very confident in himself. Without saying anything more, Longao took off his clothes. As for Bai Ling, she had already disappeared without a trace. In the entire cave, only Longao and the unconscious Xiling were left. He sighed deeply. Longao didn't have any evil thoughts in his heart. He gently took off Xiling's clothes. He had to admit that Xiling's body was absolutely unparalleled in the world. Even Longao couldn't help but feel his heart beating wildly. Longao only protected Xiling. According to Bai Ling's method, he began to slowly transfer his aura and blood to Xiling. In the next second, Longao suddenly felt that not only his aura and blood, but also Xiling's aura and blood were also transferred to him. In other words, the two of them were transferring to each other. Longao didn't care about this. He didn't even ask if there would be any side effects. Time trickled by. The cave was so quiet that only their heartbeats could be heard. On the second day, after an entire day and night, Longao and Xiling finally woke up. However, Xiling's roar had already sounded out, and she directly slapped her palm towards Longao. If it was the Longao from a day ago, he might have been able to dodge this palm. But now, Longao's body was instantly hit, and his body flew backward. Blood splattered all over the cave. His entire body was like a kite with a broken string. He fell heavily against the wall, and bounced back to the ground. Struggling to get up, Longao cursed as he put on his clothes. Who the F***ck did I offend? I got hit for no reason. You scoundrel, how dare you tease me? Flirting? When did he tease her? Bai Ling appeared. She was a little embarrassed, but she was pleasantly surprised. Sister, it's all thanks to young Master Long this time. Otherwise, you would have disappeared. It was only at this moment that Xiling realized that something was wrong. He wouldn't have known if he hadn't sensed it, but he was shocked when he sensed it. This was because Xiling didn't expect Lin Fan's bloodline to be so strong. Not only did his injuries improve, but his strength also seemed to have recovered. However, Xiling was a little angry when he thought about what happened just now. He said fiercely, "Kid, I'll spare your life since you saved me. But remember, if what happened today gets out, I'll cut you into pieces." Longao was frustrated by Xiling's unreasonable behavior, but he also felt helpless. "I hope you won't tell anyone. I value my chastity very much." Needless to say, Longao was really shameless. However, thinking about it, this world was really unfair. Why was it that no matter who was right or wrong, it was always the man who was wrong in the end? The woman was always the one who was at a disadvantage. Women always had a righteous attitude. Just as Longao was about to sit down and rest, he suddenly exclaimed, scaring Bai Ling and Xiling. "Young Master Long, what's wrong?" "Ignore him, idiot." He completely ignored Xiling. Longao's disregard made the two Jianling very curious. They didn't know what was going on with Longao. Why did he suddenly stop talking? Yellow Grade Great Emperor Realm? Peak Yellow Grade Great Emperor Realm? What kind of concept was this? Longao was completely shocked. A day ago, he was still a Peak Orange Grade Great Emperor Realm martial artist. How did he break through from Peak Orange Grade Great Emperor Realm to Peak Yellow Grade Great Emperor Realm in just one day? Happiness came a little too suddenly. Longao couldn't accept it. Longao was very clear about how difficult it was to break through from Orange Grade Great Sovereign to Yellow Grade Great Sovereign. Moreover, he was able to complete the breakthrough within a short period of one day. If he didn't experience it himself, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. This kind of cultivation speed, even if it was Longao, he felt that it was a little inconceivable. "Bai Ling, my cultivation has broken through to Yellow Grade Great Emperor Realm." Bai Ling was also overjoyed. However, she seemed to already know, which made Longao very curious. Just as he was about to ask, Bai Ling said, "Young Master Long, a good person will be rewarded with good deeds. You and my sister's aura and bloodline are connected. Not only did my sister benefit, but you also benefited from it." "What benefits?" Longao couldn't wait any longer. He had just guessed that the reason why he was able to break through from the orange-level Great Emperor realm to the yellow-level Great Emperor realm in just one day was definitely related to the events that happened in one day and one night. Strictly speaking, it should be related to Purple Spirit. It seemed that it was just as Bai Ling had said. A good person would be rewarded with good deeds. If he hadn't sacrificed himself, how could he have done this? Longao even wondered if this could be considered a breakthrough in the realm that he had exchanged his body for? If Xiling knew about Longao's wild thoughts, he wondered if Xiling would be furious. "Young Master Long, you've already sensed the instant increase in your cultivation level. As for the other benefits, I can't tell you right now, but I can guarantee that you'll definitely benefit more than my sister." After listening to Bai Ling's words, Longao realized that he seemed to have gained an advantage. He was really helpless. There was no helping it. When good luck came, it couldn't be stopped. In just one day, he broke through from orange grade Great Emperor realm to yellow grade Great Emperor realm. Until now, Longao was still in disbelief. After all, no matter who he told, no one would choose to believe such a cultivation speed. "Xiling, can we write off the grudge between us now?" Without waiting for Xiling to speak, Longao continued, "I still have the same words. I can't let Bai Ling go now. However, as long as I can do it, I will definitely let her go. During this period of time, I will protect Bai Ling well. How about that?" If this still didn't work, Longao really had no other choice. At most, he would be killed by Xiling. After all, he couldn't control the God-Slayer sword and didn't dare to casually break the seal of the God-Slayer sword. Otherwise, Bai Ling would really be in danger. If she was swallowed by the God-Slayer sword, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xiling thought for a while and nodded. "We can write off the grudge between us. However, I have a condition. From now on, I want to follow you at all times and protect Bai Ling. How about that?" Chapter 956. Follow me? Hearing that Xiling would follow him from now on, Longao was completely shocked. "Xiling, did you say something wrong?" Longao certainly didn't want Xiling to follow him. The reason was simple. Although Xiling seemed to have buried the hatchet with him, no one knew if Xiling would suddenly attack him one day. As the saying goes, it's hard to guard against a thief at home. "Longao, you don't have the right to choose." Xiling's overbearingness left Longao helpless. In the end, he could only nod and agree helplessly. "Xiling, I can agree to let you follow me, but you have to promise me one thing. Don't seek revenge from the Martial Artists Alliance for now." Longao could almost guess that Xiling's strength must have reached the so-called peak of the Supreme Tao. But what could he do? In the end, Xiling was seriously injured and couldn't recover to his peak strength. If he went to the Martial Artists Alliance, he would be courting death. For Bai Ling's sake, and also for the physical intimacy, Longao didn't want anything to happen to Xiling. He didn't want Xiling to be hurt by the Martial Artists Alliance. No matter what, Xiling was Bai Ling's sister. Xiling obviously knew that Longao was being kind. Although she didn't say anything, she had already silently agreed. Seeing that the enmity between Longao and her sister was temporarily resolved, Bai Ling was the happiest. "Young Master Long, thank you so much." Longao smiled and said, "I'm a soft-hearted person." "Really?" Longao chuckled. He was obviously very happy that his cultivation had broken through from the orange-level Great Emperor realm to the yellow-level Great Emperor realm. After all, the difference of one level was too big. "If I come out for too long, I'll definitely attract attention." Xiling and Bai Ling knew what Longao meant. They nodded and entered the God-Slayer sword at the same time. Xiling's situation was different from Bai Ling's. With Xiling's strength, unless the seal on the God Slayer's sword was broken, Xiling would never be swallowed by the God Slayer's sword. Longao did not stay any longer. He immediately shot toward the Martial Artists Alliance. The Martial Artists Alliance used him as bait to lure Xiling into the Martial Artists Alliance. If the Martial Artists Alliance found out that he had left the alliance, there was no doubt that the Martial Artists Alliance would believe that he had something to do with Xiling. If that happened, he would be in big trouble. He successfully returned to the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao had just stepped into his residence. He did not even have time to catch his breath before Mei Kai came in. He heaved a sigh of relief. It was a close call. However, Longao asked unhappily, "Are you asking for a beating by coming here? Asking for a beating?" No matter how much Mei Kai was afraid of him, he did not show any fear on his face. Instead, he acted like he was superior. It was as if he did not care about the other party at all. "Black Wolf, cut the crap. I'm here on behalf of Deputy Chief Shangguan. I have something to discuss with you." "Shangguan-Ye?" Longao was curious. He did not know why Shangguan-Ye was looking for him. After all, he and Shangguan-Ye were at daggers drawn. It was a situation where one of them had to die. "If you have something to say, say it. I don't have time to waste with you." "Humph, Black Wolf, Deputy Chief Shangguan asked me to tell you that as long as you kneel in front of him and admit your mistake and leave your arm behind, he will let bygones be bygones." In addition, Longao waved his hand and did not give Mei Kai a chance to continue. This was because he already knew that Mei Kai was here on behalf of Shangguan-Ye to make him bow his head. Shangguan-Ye knew very well that he was on the side of Deputy Chief Shangguan-Ye and Tang Hao. It would not be easy to deal with him. "Mei Kai, go back and tell Shangguan-Ye that the grudge between him and me will not end until one of us dies." Not end until one of us dies. Mei Kai did not expect Black Wolf to be so arrogant. Shangguan-Ye was the deputy chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. Regardless of status or strength, he was still superior. Not to mention Black Wolf, even the other deputy chief would not dare to provoke Shangguan-Ye unless it was absolutely necessary. Provoking Shangguan-Ye was equivalent to courting death. "Black Wolf, I will give you one last chance. You should know what it means to fight Deputy Chief Shangguan to death. Get out." Under Mei Kai's shocked gaze, Longao's body suddenly disappeared from where he was. In the next second, Longao suddenly appeared beside Mei Kai and said in an extremely cold voice, "I will let you know the consequences of provoking me." Bang! Longao's godly dragon arm hit Mei Kai's left shoulder at an unbelievable angle. Then, Mei Kai's body flew backward like a kite with a broken string. In the end, Longao did not kill Mei Kai. If it was any other time or place, Longao would not have shown mercy. As the saying goes, being merciful to one's enemy is the cruelest to oneself. Under normal circumstances, Longao would never make such a low-level mistake. However, the current situation was not painful. After the incident with Xiling, the chief and Tang Hao were already suspicious of him. If he continued to kill Mei Kai at this time, Longao could even guess that even if he entered the Burning Sky Divine region, it would still be unknown. Because of this, Longao did not kill Mei Kai. However, he was very clear that based on the grudge between him and Mei Kai had to die. Otherwise, he would be in endless trouble. "Humph, Black Wolf, do you really think that you are the chief?" Longao's heart skipped a beat when he heard the voice. Of course, he knew who it was. It was Shangguan-Ye, a peerless supreme Dao warrior. As long as he didn't use his aura, Longao believed that Shangguan-Ye could easily kill him. Longao could not understand. Since Shangguan-Ye knew that the chief and Tang Hao were on his side, why did she still take the risk to deal with him? Could it be that Shanghai-Ye did not even care about the chief, Tong Tiandi? In the next second, when Shangguan-Ye appeared, she already knew that Black Wolf had condensed the aura of heaven and earth. Shanghai-Ye did not use her aura to suppress him, nor did she attack him. She only looked coldly at Black Wolf, walked to the side and sat down. Longao had already thought about it. If Shangguaniye really attacked him, he would immediately enter the Dragon Seal's space even if he had to risk being discovered by the Dragon Seal. After thinking about it, Longao could only think of this way to avoid Shangguaniye. "Shangguaniye, what's the matter?" he sneered. In Shangguaniye's eyes, she did not care about Longao at all. Because even if Longao's cultivation had broken through to the yellow-grayed Great Emperor realm, an ant was still an ant. "Black Wolf, have you heard of this saying? Everyone below the Nirvana realm is an ant. However, I can tell you now that everyone below the Supreme Tao is an ant." Chapter 957. Everyone below the Nirvana realm was an ant? Everyone below the Supreme Tao was an ant? Shangguaniye, I really want to know what you just said has to do with me. Longao felt helpless. He did not believe that Shangguaniye came here just to say this to him. Could it be that he wanted to tell him that he was just an ant in front of him? "Hey Lang, I'm just letting you know that you're not even a fart in my eyes. Get lost." If someone dared to tell him to get lost, Shangguaniye would have exploded like a volcano. However, at this moment, Shangguaniye was still laughing coldly, as if he did not take Longao's insults to heart. "Black Wolf, you will definitely die in 10 days even if you enter the Burning God domain. Shangguaniye, let's not beat around the bush. Just say what you want to say." Longao was clearly getting impatient. He and Shangguaniye had already reached a point where they would not rest until one of them was dead. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to waste time talking nonsense. "Black Wolf, Mei Kai has already passed on my words to you. Have you thought about it? Forgive me for not keeping you company." Just as Longao turned around, he could clearly feel Shangguaniye shooting toward him. Before he could figure out what was going on, his body was hit, and he was sent flying backward. He collided with the ground. Fortunately, Longao had the protection of the Divine Desolation body and Shangguaniye did not kill him. Otherwise, Longao would not have been able to block this attack. "Black Wolf, remember this. You are not qualified to play with me." After saying that, Shangguaniye disappeared. Longao crawled up from the ground with great difficulty. He finally witnessed Shangguaniye's formidable strength. A Supreme Shinto was indeed a Supreme Shinto. In front of a Supreme Shinto, he almost didn't have any chance to fight back. It was too terrifying. The Supreme Shinto was so powerful. It was hard for Longao to imagine that the Nirvana realm, which was above the Supreme Shinto, would be even more terrifying. That was the strength of the divine mathematician and the heavenly Tao. As the saying goes, there is always someone better than you. Longao, with your strength, it's impossible for you to be his opponent. Moreover, that person wants to kill you. Longao was aware of Xiling's reminder. Of course, he knew why Shangguaniye didn't kill him this time. Without a doubt, Shangguaniye wasn't afraid of him. Instead, she was wary of the chief and deputy chief, Tang Hao. Longao was almost certain that once he entered the Burning Heaven Divine region, he would definitely be in danger because Shangguaniye would not let go of such a rare opportunity. "Your strength is too low. Grass." Longao cursed in his heart. Xiling was obviously trying to hurt him. "Xiling, is there any way for me to make consecutive breakthroughs in the shortest amount of time?" The stronger one was, the higher the chance of survival in the Burning Heaven Divine region. Moreover, his main goal after entering the Burning Heaven Divine region was to find the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones. Why should I tell you? Longao was speechless after hearing Xiling's words. He didn't continue to ask for a rebuff. Although he didn't die after being hit by Shangguaniye, he definitely didn't feel good. Longao immediately sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate quietly. Outside the Martial Artists Alliance, Qianyi returned smoothly. As a supreme Shinto warrior and in charge of the Red Blood Guards, Qianyi's position in the Martial Artists Alliance was very high. Qianyi was only a guardian, but his position was equal to that of an elder. After his grandson was killed, Qianyi had been looking for Longao's whereabouts. Moreover, Longao had taken away the crystal ball from him. Boss, Longao is still nowhere to be found. Waving his hand, Qianyi's face was extremely gloomy. He had already guessed it. Otherwise, he would have found Longao long ago. Where did Longao go? Qianyi, you're back. Hearing the voice, Qianyi was delighted. He immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Qianyi greets Deputy Alliance Leader Shangguan. All right, don't be so polite with me. The person who came in was Shangguan. In the Martial Artists Alliance, the 8 Deputy Alliance Leaders, including the Alliance Leader, all had their own subordinates. Qianyi was Shangguan's subordinate. Brother Shangguan, how have you been? Qianyi dared not provoke Shangguan, because he knew clearly that he and the Red Blood Guards were built by Shangguan. As long as Shangguan wanted to, he could take everything away from him at any time. Seeing Shangguan's pale face, Qianyi knew that Shangguan must be in trouble. Brother Shangguan, did something happen? Shangguan nodded. This was the main reason why he came to find Qianyi this time. He didn't conceal anything. He told He Lang about the things that had happened between him and He Lang, as well as the things that had happened between him and the Shangguan clan. The fault was definitely Longao, and not him and the Shangguan clan. After hearing the story, Qianyi was also shocked. In the Martial Artists Alliance, he couldn't figure out who, except for the 7 Deputy Alliance Leaders, the Alliance Leader, and some elders, dared to provoke Shangguan. That person must have a death wish. Moreover, the person who had provoked Shangguan was an insignificant inner disciple of the Martial Artists Alliance. It was hard to believe. However, Qianyi knew clearly that Shangguan didn't have to lie to him. Qianyi also wanted to meet the legendary Black Wolf. He wanted to see what kind of person he was and how he dared to provoke Deputy Alliance Leader Shangguan. However, the Deputy Alliance Leader had a very high status in the Martial Artists Alliance. If he wanted to kill an inner disciple, it would be as easy as killing an ant. Brother Shangguan, with your status and strength, it doesn't seem difficult for you to kill Black Wolf. At the mention of this, Shangguan's expression became more and more unpleasant. He said, if it weren't for Tang Hao's interference and the Alliance Leader's favoritism, Black Wolf would have been dead. Brother Shangguan, I can understand Tang Hao's interference. He has always been at odds with you. However, the Alliance Leader has been in seclusion for so many years. Why would he not only come out of seclusion but also side with an insignificant inner disciple? Even Shangguan didn't know what the Alliance Leader meant, let alone Qianyi. Because of this, he didn't dare to make a move casually. Brother Shangguan, have you ever thought that there are 2 reasons why the Alliance Leader would side with this person? What are the 2 reasons? First, Black Wolf's identity is not simple. Otherwise, the Alliance Leader wouldn't side with an inner disciple and make a Deputy Alliance Leader unhappy. You have a point. Everyone knew that the value of a Deputy Alliance Leader was much higher than that of an inner disciple. Unless there was something wrong with the Alliance Leader's brain, he would know how to choose. Second, Black Wolf is just a scapegoat. The Alliance Leader is only doing this to give you a warning. P.S. I went out to do something in the afternoon. I will continue the update when I come back. The 7th chapter has been delivered. Chapter 958. Are you saying that the Alliance Master wants to deal with me? That's not necessarily the case. No matter what, you are the Vice Alliance Master. As long as the Alliance Master isn't stupid, I believe that he won't do anything to you. Shangguan was very confident about this. His value was obvious. Qianyi, I have a task for you now. Please tell me. The Alliance Master has decided to let Black Wolf enter the Burning Divine region. Therefore, you have 10 days to think of a way to help me get rid of this person. After thinking about it, Shangguaniye finally decided that if he could get rid of this person before the opening of the burning divine region, it might not be a bad thing. Don't worry, big brother. Leave this to me. Qianyi immediately left to make arrangements. With the red blood guards, Qianyi could mobilize a lot of people. Otherwise, Shangguaniye wouldn't have come to him for help. Another reason why Shangguaniye looked for Qianyi was that he wanted to kill someone with a borrowed knife. Even if Qianyi really killed Black Wolf, it had nothing to do with him. With Qianyi's intervention, this matter became turbulent. After Longao returned to the Martial Artists Alliance, he immediately entered a state of recovery. This was because the burning divine region would open in 9 days. At that time, he had to enter in peak condition. In the blink of an eye, the 9th day had quietly arrived. Tomorrow was the day when the burning heaven divine region would open. Longao was also somewhat impatient. No matter what, the burning heaven divine region would be delayed by another month. At the very least, he would have to wait until he left the burning heaven divine region before he could find an opportunity to see Ying. You are Black Wolf? Seeing the 30-odd people push open the door and enter, Longao's heart thumped. Of course, he knew who the people in front of him were. They were the Red Blood Guards. The person standing at the front of the group was the leader of the Red Blood Guards, Qianyi. Longao knew very well that if Qianyi knew his true identity, he would definitely deal with him. Therefore, Longao was especially careful. So what if I am? Longao was very curious because he was sure that Qianyi had not discovered his identity. Since that was the case, with the identity of Black Wolf, it seemed that there was no grudge between him and Black Wolf. You really don't know what's good for you. You actually dared to provoke Alliance Chief Shangguan. So that was the case. Longao already knew that Qianyi came to trouble him because of Shangguaniye. There was no doubt that Qianyi was Shangguaniye's henchman. The Red Blood Guards were all great emperors. Among them, the strongest was a titled Great Emperor. If there's nothing else, forgive me for not keeping you company. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to our boss like that? You're courting death. A figure shot out from the crowd. Judging from the aura he released, this person was an orange-grade Great Emperor. Qianyi had already arranged everything before he came. According to the information he received, Black Wolf was only an orange-grade Great Emperor. Therefore, Qianyi sent an orange-grade Great Emperor to test Black Wolf's strength. Qianyi was not a fool. He knew clearly that Shangguaniye wanted him to kill Black Wolf because she wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. Once he killed Black Wolf, it would be difficult to explain to the Alliance Chief and Alliance Chief Tang Hao. However, Qianyi had no other choice. After all, Shangguaniye was his boss. If he did not take action, only death awaited him. He would die either if he advanced or retreated. Since things had already developed to this stage, Longao did not show any mercy. Humans were like this. The weaker you were, the more you would be bullied. It was exactly as the saying went, a kind man is bullied, a kind horse is ridden. Longao didn't back down at all. He smashed his fist out fiercely. The two fists collided and sparks flew in all directions. He thought that even if Hei Lang's strength was strong, it would take at least 10 moves to determine the winner. But what was the result? With just one punch, the orange-grade Great Emperor martial artist who had just shot out was sent flying back with blood spurting out of his mouth. If it wasn't for Longao's mercy, this punch alone was enough to kill this orange-grade Great Emperor martial artist. Longao's strength was no longer what it used to be. After the incident with Xiling, his cultivation had broken through from the peak orange-grade Great Emperor realm to the peak yellow-grade Great Emperor realm. It was a leap of one whole level, and his strength had doubled. How dare you hurt my man? Qianyi never thought that the opponent's strength would be so strong. As soon as Qianyi finished speaking, the two yellow-grade Great Emperors behind him dashed out instantly and flanked him. The power of the two combined was not as simple as 1 + 1. After years of practice, the Red Blood Guards' cooperation was flawless. Just in time. Longao was not worried at all. Instead, he was looking forward to it. Ever since his cultivation had broken through to the yellow-grade Great Emperor realm, Longao wanted to know if he could defeat a yellow-grade Great Emperor martial artist in the shortest time possible with his current strength, especially when two yellow-grade Great Emperors joined forces. 1 against 2. The two sides instantly engaged in a fierce battle. The three figures constantly crossed each other's paths. Qian Yi's face was extremely gloomy. If two yellow-grade Great Emperors could not defeat Black Wolf, then he could only use the green-grade Great Emperors. Longao did not use any of his trump cards. His fist smashed randomly, and fist shadows flickered. The whole world was filled with fist shadows. Emperor Dragon's 9 Fatal Blow. At the same time, Longao's fist turned into Dragon's Roar fist force and continuously smashed the two red blood guards. Emperor Dragon's 9 Fatal Strikes, 9 moves stacked together. Emperor Dragon's Raging Waves, Emperor Dragon's Heaven Burial, Emperor Dragon's Strangulation, Emperor Dragon's Dominance, Emperor Dragon's Collapse, Emperor Dragon's Meteor Explosion, Emperor Dragon's Heart Devour, Emperor Dragon's Devour, and Emperor Dragon's Heaven Breaker. After 9 moves, the two yellow-grade Great Emperors fell to the ground like corpses. At a glance, it was obvious that the two were breathing more than they were exhaling. Looking coldly at the youth in front of him, Qian Yi said coldly, "Black Wolf." Without giving Qian Yi any chance to speak, Longao waved his hand and said coldly, "If you want to fight, then fight. Why are you dawdling?" Longao was obviously somewhat impatient because he was very clear that Qian Yi had come to find trouble with him this time. Since Shang Guanyi had agreed, then without a doubt, no matter how much he said, this battle was unavoidable. Since there was no way to avoid it, there was no need to waste his breath. "I'll let you go today. I'll come find you later." Waving his hand, Qian Yi led everyone out slowly. They came quickly and left quickly. In an instant they had disappeared without a trace. Left? Looking at the crowd that had completely disappeared, Longao seemed to be a little surprised. Qian Yi came here to kill him, but why did he choose to leave now? Could it be that Qian Yi was afraid? Chapter 959. After thinking about it. In the end, Longao came to a conclusion. Qian Yi must have left because he was afraid of Tang Hao or the Alliance Master. However, in the Martial Artists Alliance, the one with the most power wasn't Shang Guanyi, but the Alliance Master, Tong Tiandi. Sitting quietly in the courtyard, Longao's expression was extremely serious because he realized that as time passed, things were getting more and more troublesome. Lei Luo, Shang Guanyi, Qian Yi, and other strong enemies. It seemed like he was in trouble. Only one day remained. To ensure that nothing would go wrong and that he didn't want to cause any trouble, Longao found a secluded place to hide. On the 10th day, the Burning Divine Region had officially opened. There were a total of 100 people from the Martial Art Alliance who could enter the Burning Divine Region. Among the 100 people, there were 10 Great Emperors of each rank, 10 titled Great Emperors, and 10 Golden Great Emperors. The Burning Heaven God region was at the east corner of the Martial Artists Alliance. As the forbidden area of the Martial Artists Alliance, no one dared to enter the Burning Heaven God region under normal circumstances, unless it was ordered by the Alliance Master. The Burning Heaven God region opened once a year, and only 100 people could enter each time. There were tens of millions of disciples in the Martial Arts Alliance. Even if they were great emperors, there were at least tens of thousands of them. However, only a little over 100 of them were able to enter the Burning Divine Region. One could imagine how precious the quota for the Burning Divine Region was. The person in charge of the Burning Heaven God region was Tang Hao. Outside the Burning Heaven God region, Tang Hao looked at the 100+ people in front of him and said in a loud voice, "Many of you have already entered the Burning Heaven Divine Region. I won't waste any more words. I hope that you can use this opportunity to obtain what you want." Among the 100 people, at least 1/3 of them had entered the burning heaven god region before. Everyone was eager to give it a try. When Tang Hao finished speaking, they all began to enter the stone door in front of them and disappeared one by one. Longao was the last one. At this time, Tang Hao said, "Black Wolf, after you enter the burning heaven god region, remember one thing. Go east. The 6 desolation god thrones are all in the east." "East? Thank you." Longao was very grateful to Tang Hao, but it was too late. He took a step forward and disappeared through the stone door. With a flash of white light, Longao's figure appeared in a huge forest. The sky was covered by countless towering trees in all directions. More than 100 people had successfully arrived at the burning heaven divine region. They looked at each other, and without exception, all of them shot off in all directions. Everyone headed towards the east. He believed that everyone already knew that the 6 desolation divine thrones were in the east of the burning heaven divine region. Seeing everyone shoot out, Longao was no exception. Within the burning heaven divine region, as soon as he entered, Longao sensed that many people were not friendly to him. They were even filled with murderous intent. If he was not mistaken, these people should have been sent by Shangguaniye to kill him. Longao did not act rashly. The reason he entered the burning heaven divine region this time, aside from training, was to search for the 6 desolation divine thrones. As for the grudge between him and Shangguaniye, he could put it aside for now. That was indeed the case. Longao used spatial teleportation and his body kept disappearing. He was very confident that even a titled Great Emperor might not be able to catch up to him. Within the main hall. "Alliance Master, I have been watching Black Wolf for the past 10 days. Jianling has never appeared. It seems that Jianling has been severely injured by us and doesn't dare to show himself easily." Tong Tiandi seemed to be unwilling to accept this. He said helplessly, "If I'm not mistaken, the Jianling that appeared previously should have truly reached the peak of the martial Tao." "Alliance Master, it can't be?" Hearing the Alliance Master's words, Tang Hao was shocked. This was because he knew clearly what the peak of the martial Tao meant. "My senses can't be wrong. However, this Jianling seems to have been severely injured and has not recovered to its peak state. If we can obtain the Jianling at this time, I believe that even all of you will have a huge breakthrough in your cultivation, let alone me." Tong Tiandi actually wanted to say that if he could obtain the Jianling and refine it, he could even reach the peak of the martial Tao. If it was really possible, then the Martial Artists Alliance would surpass the other 9 super forces. "Alliance Master, what should we do now?" "What should they do?" Tong Tiandi pondered quietly. This Jianling was too important to him. However, as long as the Jianling did not appear, even he could not do anything. "Tang Hao, after 1 month, when Black Wolf leaves the burning heaven divine region, continue to watch him." "I understand. Since the Jianling wants to kill Black Wolf, in my opinion, as long as there are no accidents, the Jianling will definitely continue to look for Black Wolf. At that time, I will use the Alliance's taboo." F***ck Tang Hao cursed fiercely in his heart. This was because he knew that once the Alliance's taboo was used, it would be a huge blow to the Martial Artists Alliance. However, Tang Hao also knew that the Jianling was too important to the Alliance Master. JavaScript. "Tang Hao, there's one more thing. Regarding the grudge between Shangguaniye and Black Wolf, I believe that Shangguaniye will definitely kill Black Wolf. Therefore, you must watch over Black Wolf carefully. Do not let anything happen to him." Tang Hao was very surprised. This was because he could not understand why the Alliance Master was so biased towards Black Wolf. Could it be that the Alliance Master was related to Black Wolf? In another place of the Martial Artists Alliance, Hades was extremely furious. This was because when she was not paying attention, Linger had not only secretly left, but also entered the burning heaven divine region. With Linger's status and strength, she had already entered the burning heaven divine region 3 times. A large part of the reason why Ling'er was able to break through to the titled Great Emperor realm was because she had entered the Burning Heaven Divine Region and found the Desolation Divine Throne. Master, this is not the first time Ling'er has entered the Burning Heaven Divine Region. Why are you so worried? Yuyin was also very worried. This was not because she was worried about Ling'er, but because she was worried about Longao. She already knew what had happened to Longao in the past few days. If he entered the Burning Heaven Divine Region, Shangguaniye would definitely make a move against Longao. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Yuyin, I am not worried about Ling'er's safety. This time, I was prepared to let Ling'er cultivate in seclusion and strive to break through to the demigod realm within half a year. However, now, Hades shook her head helplessly. She was completely helpless when it came to this disciple of hers. Master, I would like to ask you something. I hope that you can answer me truthfully. Hades seemed to be somewhat curious. However, she still nodded her head. It was obvious that Hades was very fond of Yuyin. Master, I respect you very much. I would like to ask if you have dealt with Longao? Yuyin had never wanted to ask about this matter. However, things had already developed to this point. She had to figure out exactly what this yes meant. P.S. That's all for today. Little Gio will go to sleep first. Good night, everyone. Chapter 960. Yuyin, what do you mean? Her heart skipped a beat. Of course, Hades knew what Yuyin meant, but could she admit it? Master, I already know. She sighed deeply in her heart. Hades looked at his disciple and said helplessly, Yuyin, do you know why I'm doing this? Master, no matter what, you should know that the person I love the most in my life is Longao. How could the Nether God not know that? Because of this, Hades knew that he had to get rid of Longao, even if it was for his disciple. Yuyin, since you already know, I won't hide it from you. Yuyin didn't say anything, but her expression was extremely ugly. With your current status, Longao is no longer worthy of you. Shaking her head, Yuyin suddenly smiled and said, Master, if you continue to deal with Longao, I swear to God that I will hate you for the rest of my life, and I will no longer have anything to do with the Martial Artists Alliance. She didn't continue speaking. Yuyin was obviously serious. She turned around and left, disappearing without a trace. Looking at his disciple who had already disappeared, the god of the underworld's face was extremely gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get. Clenching his fists tightly, Hades said to himself coldly, Longao, I will definitely kill you, even if Yuyin hates me for the rest of her life. In the burning god realm, Longao kept disappearing from his original spot, and then he kept moving through the dense forest at his fastest speed. This time, Shangguaniye wanted to get rid of Longao completely, so he used his own forces. A full fifth of the people were his own people. Meika was among them, but most of them were from the Red Blood Guards. The burning god realm was boundless. Even if they kept going east, they didn't know if they could find the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones. According to Tang Hao, the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones were not fixed in one place. They could change locations at any time. However, based on his many years of experience, the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones would usually appear in the east. However, under normal circumstances, if one of them could find the Desolation Divine Seat, the rest of the people would flock over. At that time, in order to fight for the godly seat of desolation, regardless of whether they were on good terms or not, there would be a huge battle at this time. Oftentimes, those who entered the Burning Heaven Divine Region would become good friends, but after leaving the Burning Heaven Divine Region, they would become enemies. There were even some who would fight to the death. There were only 6 desolate divine thrones in the Burning Sky Divine Region. However, a total of 100 people would enter the Burning Divine Region every year. 100 people fighting for the 6 godly seats of desolation. One could imagine how intense it would be. Black Wolf, do you still want to run? Longao, who was just about to rest, suddenly looked at the dozens of people in front of him and shook his head helplessly. He didn't know why these people were like vengeful spirits that kept pestering him. Longao always felt that something was wrong. Because his speed was so fast, even if it was a great emperor martial artist, it would not be easy to lock onto him. Meikai. According to Meikai's identity, it was almost impossible for him to enter the burning heaven divine region. After all, Meikai was only a consecrator of the Martial Artists Alliance, not a disciple or a protector. However, because of Longao, Shangguaniye used her identity to force Meikai back. Among the dozens of people, there were green-grade great emperors, blue-grade great emperors, purple-grade great emperors, and even gold-grade great emperors. Meikai, with just you? Longao's heart was heavy. He wasn't afraid of Meikai, but he was afraid of the person behind Meikai. Not to mention 1 against 10, even in a one-on-one situation, with his strength, he could only fight against a green-grade great emperor. As for the great emperors above the green grade, Longao was still aware of his own strength. Ha ha ha, Black Wolf, if you're afraid, just say it. If you're willing to kneel down and admit your mistake, I can consider letting you die a quick death. Before Meikai could finish his words, everyone's eyes suddenly widened in disbelief. This was because no one would have thought that the young man who had just been standing in front of them could suddenly disappear right under their noses. What the hell happened? Longao borrowed spatial teleportation. In the next second, his body already appeared beside Meikai. He sneered. His body was emitting waves of powerful killing intent. Black Wolf, you. Black Wolf, don't you dare. Seeing Black Wolf suddenly appear beside Meikai, everyone was shocked. Of course, they knew what Black Wolf wanted to do, so they all looked at the two of them. What a joke. If Meikai was killed by Black Wolf under such circumstances, how could they save their face? It's too late. Longao was full of confidence. With his current strength, it wasn't difficult to kill Meikai, but it was almost impossible to kill him in an instant. However, if he couldn't kill Meikai in an instant, it would be impossible for him to kill Meikai a second time. After all, the surrounding great emperors had already swarmed over. Soul formation attack. In the end, Longao still chose to use the soul array to attack. With a swoosh, a miserable scream rang out. Longao's fist also ruthlessly smashed out. Crack. Longao smashed Meikai hard. He turned around and used spatial teleportation to leave the place instantly. At this moment, the surrounding great emperors had all arrived. Looking at Meikai, who was smashed to the ground, their faces were extremely ugly. Meikai was smashed by Longao and was attacked by the soul array. Even if he didn't die, he would be severely injured. This was something that Longao had never thought of, because according to his estimation, his soul array attack, coupled with the power of his fist, was enough to smash the other party to death. But what was the result? However, Longao still heaved a sigh of relief. Although Meikai wasn't smashed to death, he was half dead. He believed that Meikai wouldn't be a threat to him anymore. Black Wolf, if you have the ability, fight fair and square. What kind of hero are you for using unscrupulous methods? Among the dozens of people, the strongest, Xian Mu, said coldly. Xian Mu was a gold-grade great emperor. As for titled great emperors, Shangguaniye didn't send any of them. Hence, Xian Mu was the strongest great emperor. Initially, they thought that He Lang would die without a doubt after being surrounded by dozens of people. But in the end, He Lang used some kind of secret technique and disappeared in an instant. Moreover, he was clearly an orange-grade great monarch martial artist. How did he suddenly become a peak yellow-grade great monarch martial artist? One should know that a peak orange-grade great emperor and a peak yellow-grade great emperor were two different concepts. Otherwise, Black Wolf wouldn't have been able to injure Meikai with his previous strength. Chapter 961. Everyone stared at the young man in front of them, but no one dared to make a move. Longao's strength just now could be considered to have intimidated everyone present. "Hero?" he snorted coldly. Longao's face was full of disdain. Dozens of people besieging him was shameless in itself. How could the dozens of people not know the meaning behind Longao's disdain? Each and every one of their faces were extremely gloomy. However, Shangguaniye and Qianyi had already given them a death order. No matter what happened, He Lang had to die. He could not leave the burning heaven divine region alive. When Xian Mu was about to speak, Longao waved his hand and stopped him. "Don't provoke me. Otherwise, I'll kill every one of you." After saying that, Longao turned around and disappeared. Everyone stared at him. They still didn't know how Longao did it. "Brother Xian Mu, how did this kid disappear? How did he disappear? How would he know?" Xian Mu said helplessly. "This kid is more mysterious than we thought. Remember, if you have the chance, don't kill him." "Understood." Everyone knew why Xian Mu didn't kill Black Wolf. After all, if they could learn Black Wolf's move, it would be beneficial to their strength. Such a temptation, if they weren't greedy, then they would be lying. "Brother Xian Mu, please save me." Mei Kai, who was lying on the ground, begged again and again because he was very afraid. If Xian Mu and the others didn't save him, he would definitely die. Mei Kai didn't want to die. Dazzling smiled meaningfully and said, "Mei Kai, do you know what Boss Qianyi said to us before we entered the Burning Heaven God region?" Mei Kai didn't speak, but a bad premonition arose spontaneously. "Die. Brother Xian Mu." Xian Mu waved his hand and interrupted Mei Kai, saying, "I'll give you a chance. We won't kill you. If you can leave Burning Heaven God region alive, then consider yourself lucky. Let's go." Without giving Mei Kai any chance, Dazzling's people turned and left. Seeing the dazzling crowd leave, how could Mei Kai dare to stay? He endured the pain coming from his body and struggled to get up. He did not expect Black Wolf to be so strong. He thought it was an accident that he was sent flying, but just now, he was almost killed by Black Wolf. Mei Kai knew very well that with Black Wolf's current strength and the fact that Shangguaniye had given up on him, it was almost impossible for him to defeat Black Wolf. At this moment, Mei Kai did not want to take revenge. His only thought was to leave the Burning Heaven Divine region as quickly as possible. Life was the most important thing. Everything else was nonsense. "Mei Kai, you want to leave just like that?" Hearing the voice behind him, Mei Kai's body trembled. He slowly turned around and looked at the young man who had returned. Mei Kai already knew what was about to happen. "Black Wolf." Waving his hand, Longao smiled and said, "Sorry, I'm not called Black Wolf. My real identity is Longao." Longao? The current Longao was rather famous in the Tianwu continent. Long family disciples were rarely expelled from their families. Furthermore, Longao came from the 9 provinces continent and did not have a long family. "So you're Longao?" "You." Longao did not give Mei Kai any chance. Since he was going to die, there was no need to dawdle. Longao's body disappeared. When he reappeared, Mei Kai had also fallen. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Longao suddenly sneered and muttered to himself, "Shangguaniye Qianyi, since you want to kill me, I'll play with you." After speaking, Longao sent Mei Kai's corpse into the dragon seal space and chased in the direction the group had just left. Dazzling Eyes group continued to walk east while searching for Longao's tracks. They hoped to find the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones as soon as possible. Although Qianyi had stated that no matter what happened, they had to kill Black Wolf, Dazzling Eyes group was not stupid. It was not easy for them to enter the Burning Heaven Divine Domain. They would be fools if they did not look for the Desolation Divine Thrones. "Boss Dazzling Eye, we seem to be followed." Dazzling Eye nodded. Needless to say, with his strength, he could clearly sense that they were being followed. This time, only 10 people had entered the Burning Divine region. 10 gold grade Great Emperors and 10 titled Great Emperors. The 10 gold rank Great Emperors were Dazzling Eye, Yi Xuan, Ma Tianyu, Xiao Hu, and Enli. The 10 titled Great Emperors were Wan Zhang, Bai He, Lu Guan, Yin Xiuxiu, and He Hu. Dazzling Eye was very clear that the 10 of them were fighting for themselves. Even if they could find the 6 Desolation Divine Thrones, the 5 titled Great Emperors would have one each. As for the last Desolation Divine Thrones, it would be up to the rest of them to fight for it. If they were lucky, even Crimson Great Emperors would be able to obtain a Desolation Divine Throne. If they were unlucky, even Gold Rank Great Emperors might not be able to obtain a Desolation Divine Throne. Who was it that was following him? Dazzling Eye knew that other than the remaining 9 people, the rest did not dare to do so. However, everyone knew that they had entered the Burning Heaven Divine Domain for the Desolation Divine Thrones. Unless it was a last resort, they would not fight. After all, the Burning Heaven Divine Domain itself was very dangerous. No matter how he thought about it, Dazzling Eye could not figure out who was following him. However, since the other party did not show up, he would pretend that he did not know and wait and see. Actually, Dazzling Eye did not know about the 5 titled Great Emperors. This time, Lingor was also an accident because her cultivation had also reached the titled Great Emperor realm. Not to mention Dazzling Eye, even everyone, including Longao, did not expect this to happen. The person who was following Dazzling Eye and the others was definitely Longao. Be careful. Everyone stay close to each other. Remember, do not get separated. Just as Dazzling Eye and the others were searching for the Desolation Divine Thrones, the surrounding trees suddenly moved and began to attack them. Everyone knew that they had encountered a tree demon, an extremely powerful plant spirit beast. Moreover, the tree demon's defense was extremely terrifying. Dazzling Eye was very solemn because in just a few minutes, 2 of them had already been killed by the tree demon. If this continued, not to mention finding the Desolation Divine Thrones, it was unknown if they could even leave the Burning Heaven Divine Domain alive. In the distance, Longao also saw that the tree demons were constantly attacking Dazzling Eye and the others. Longao was very surprised because this was the first time he had seen a tree demon. The world was really big and there were all kinds of strange things. Even such spirit beasts existed. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.